What up, IDS Mob? Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host, as always, Harry Wilmington. This is the show where you go to learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's been a minute. And so in today's show, I just have a bunch of questions to answer. Over the last week, I got a lot of comments in my box, messages and things that either need to be responded to or that I want to answer. And so that is what I'm going to do today. I'm also going to talk a little bit about my Introvert Dating Success Academy community, which is a new version of the Introvert Dating Success Academy that I just opened that now has added a community feature whereby people can talk and discuss amongst themselves all things related to dating. So we're going to get into all that stuff today on this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. Let's get to it.
It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
And of course, as always, this show is brought to you by the website introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can go there to check out my various ebooks, audiobooks, and most importantly, programs. And to that end, so as you guys may know, I have a program at my website, and the website is introvertdatingsuccess.com. And I have a whole program there called the Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program, right? And so I have added a community feature to that program because it's nice to be able to go there and get some knowledge from me based on, videos I have there, ebooks. And by the way, all things are in this program. So when you join the Introvert Dating Success Academy community, you get my Stop Losing Women podcast program. You get my Top Secret Dating Blueprint, which gives you the ins and outs of how to date and attract women. It gives you the Smart Digital Dating Blueprint guide. It gives you my Texting Like a Boss book, my Stop Losing Women book, my No Girls For You book, in addition to a variety of other programs that are there that are designed to help you out and walk you through how the dating process should go. But on top of that, I've now added a community feature. So the members that are there, you won't just be getting knowledge from me, but you can also talk to other people in the community about troubles that they're having in dating. You can get some insights from me and other people. I'm also going to be holding extra what are these called? These extra lives there twice a week. So right now I do a live once a week on YouTube. And so I was originally doing another one on Saturdays, but that got a lot. But I'm going to be doing more lives from now on in the community. So if you want extra knowledge that you can't get on YouTube, then you can join the community. The best part is I have decided to make this as affordable as humanly possible. So to get access to all the things, it's $47 a month. You can cancel at any time, but you'll have access to all the things that I've created and more things that are there to come. All right. So again, that is at introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can click on the link to learn more about that. And if you want to join today, then you are definitely welcome to the community. All right, let's get the tab off of that. So I have a lot of things to discuss today because I have gotten a lot of comments in the last week and a lot of various questions from other people. So I'm going to get into all that. First off, though, this past weekend, I actually went to a family reunion. I went out of town back to good old Virginia and got to reconnect with family. But I also got to meet up with family that I have not ever met, especially a lot of my cousins have had, kids of their own that are ranging from 2 or 3 years old to 15, right? And so it can be really hard to try to get to know new family members. And I saw a lot of my other family members there that I knew that were struggling to try to get to know these newer people because it's like, they want to run over, hey, so-and-so, blah, blah, nice to meet you. Oh my God, hey, let's do that. And people can, especially kids, they can really feel if that's like an inauthentic gesture or if it's being forced upon, right? And so a lot of things that I teach you guys about dating correlates to other aspects of life. And so I found that a lot of the younger cousins that were there that, again, had never met me before and barely knew who I was, right? By the time the family reunion was over, they were the ones running up to me. They were the ones trying to vie for my attention. They were the ones that were asking me, oh my God, what are you doing, blah, blah, all those things, right? And it's not that I was being rude or it was not that I wasn't trying to get to know them, but I did the same tactics on them that I do on women that works all the time. And it's the things that I teach you guys nonstop, all right? The two big things, right, is one, you don't go in looking desperate for their attention. And number two, at the point that they come to you for attention, you basically try to get to know them, and you really try to like lean in on things that they're interested in. So for example, I had like 2 male cousins that were there that were younger cousins, never met them before. Right? I think I met one of them when they were like 2 or 3, and that was it, right? But they were playing Minecraft. So again, I'm not trying to necessarily like get up all their stuff and whatever, but I'll go over there and just be like, oh, Minecraft, yeah, my nephew has that game. Like, tell me, what are you guys playing? So I'm already taking an interest in what they're interested in, even though I don't play Minecraft at all, but I know it's of interest to them. So I just go over and say, hey, so like, tell me about Minecraft. What are you playing? What's the character? Like, what do you like most about the game? Whatever. And then I'll do that for a little bit, and then I walk away. I wouldn't stay there, wouldn't overextend because they're kids. They might not want to deal with an adult at that time, especially adults are uncool. They don't know me, but like, I do that a couple of times. Next thing I know, they're coming over to me. Hey, I got to this level in Minecraft, or hey, check out what I'm doing, or whatever, right? And then at the family reunion, my brother was DJing the parties, and I was out there dancing like a fool, and I was dancing as good as I did back in high school. I had the moves, the Michael Jackson stuff going on and whatnot, and all the little younger cousins around that were scared to dance now want to come up and dance because they see me doing it, like being unafraid, which is the same thing I do when I'm trying to get girls at parties. I get out there, I'm doing my thing, I'm acting like this is an awesome thing to do, and next thing I know, they're coming up to me. And so when they come up to me, I don't have to do work. So yeah, all the stuff I teach you guys, it doesn't just work on women. It works on getting to know new people in general, where you take an interest in them, but you're not overbearing. You give them a little bit of attention, and then you go away. And then again, by the end of the family reunion, I had these newer cousins of mine coming up to me and trying to talk to me and all this other stuff. And I was just like, it literally works on anybody. So I say it because I want you guys to get out there and recognize when you're seeing women you want to meet, that you don't have to be overly stressed, because like I said, whether it's new family members or whether it's women you're trying to date, at the end of the day, people want to feel as though coming to you to meet you is a decision they're making. And so when you're trying to overextend and trying to prove so much, it makes them think, why are they trying to prove themselves so hard? This feels like weird energy. I don't trust it. Versus just being like, hey, I'm going to go over there, say a few things to them, head off. And then at that point, if they decide they want more of my attention, they know where to find me. Works wonders, you know? So I just wanted to put that out there as a story. Anyway, like I said this week, guys, I got a lot of comments. And by the way, this show is ultimately about you guys. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask me during the course of the show, I am more than happy to answer them. You can leave them in the comments box or the talking box, whatever it's called, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get into some things that I got this week. So let's see. So this is a question I got from a guy. I gave him a very direct answer, but I'm gonna give a direct answer, then expound upon why I gave that answer. So I had a guy leave a comment, and this guy had a question. He said, my ex broke up with me, and a week later, she slept with a guy I didn't know about. 3 days after that, she came back and slept with me. According to her, this was to check if there was still any emotional attachment between us. So I'll say this, because that sounds like one of those situations where, quite honestly, she wanted to test out the other guy and knew that in her moral center, doing that while she was in a relationship with you was going to make her feel guilty and it's going to make you judge her. So she figured, hey, if I break up, then I can go hook up with that other guy. I can get my feels for him. And then this guy over here, he's a simp enough to be able to want to take me back because I'm me. I'm so great. I'm so wonderful, right? So that's not the best thing in the world to do. I know I've said this show before, you know, who your ex hooks up with when you're broken up should be none of your concern. But obviously you guys need to do a better job of listening comprehension. Because obviously if a woman breaks up with you, hooks up with somebody else, and then comes right back, that's not what I'm talking about. I typically am talking about you guys like break up, and then for like months on end, you guys aren't seeing each other, talking to each other. Maybe like 6 months down the line, she comes to you and says, hey, you know, so-and-so, I made a mistake, whatever. That's where she's had enough time away to really assess what you two are, what she meant to you, what you meant to her and all the other stuff, to where it's like, that seems like a more realistic situation of her actually still having feelings for you versus breaking up, hooking up with somebody else, and then getting back together. Like, that's never what I'm talking about when it's like, you shouldn't be concerned about who your ex connected with. What I'm stressing is that if she hooks up with somebody where you're broken up and you decide to take her back, then at that point, there's no sense in you complaining about it because you're making the decision based on knowledge you have of what this person did while she was broken up with you, that you still want to get with her. That means that now you're saying basically, I agree to not bug you about these other people. And at that point, it's not fair if you're continuing to do that to her when you made the decision to get back with her, knowing she had already hooked up with other people. All right. Anyway, so the whole thing of like, I wanted to check, see if there's an emotional attachment between us. That's a bunch of crap. Like, she's trying to give you excuses because here's the thing. Women know that men need reasons for why things are happening. Even if they're dumb reasons, her going up to you and just saying, well, I don't know why I want to hook up with you again. I just do. That she knows you're not going to buy that. So it's better for her to give some kind of excuse. And she's hoping that you're a simp enough to buy into that excuse, which in this case, it seemed to have worked. So continuing, he says, I didn't see her for 2 weeks, though we were still talking, and I was trying to make things work. After 2 weeks, she came over and we spent a whole week together. I don't know why you did that. Like, well, granted, she was your girlfriend, but even in like boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, assuming you guys aren't living together, realistically, like 3, maybe 4 times a week tops. But part of the reason she probably left you is because you were spending too much time together. So I would be curious as to who decided to say, hey, let's spend the whole week together. I'm banking on it was probably the guy in the scenario that did that because most of the time we're desperate, we're horny, we want attention, we want a pretty girl next to us. And when they go away, our egos are like, she must not like me anymore. I need her around all the time to prove that she likes me. And that's also not a good place to be dating from because, again, women can feel that. And it makes them feel as though they're the ones that are on the pedestal. Women don't like being on pedestals. So then he says, at the start of the following week, I found out about her sleeping with someone else. We talked about it because I was unhappy to hear about it. She said she wanted us back and apologized, saying the guy caught her off guard and it only happened once. I'm going to tell you right now, that is a lie. Women say this quite often because, it's bad enough if she sleeps with somebody else. But women know if they're able to make that number sound as low as possible, you'll see it as not a big deal. You'll just see it as, oh, it just happened that one time. And yeah, I guess, one time. If a woman has a good enough hookup with somebody, trust me, she's doing it more than once. She might do it in one evening with that guy 3 or 4 times, but I can guarantee you the once excuse more often than not is her way of trying to gentle the blow to you because she knows, again, women know the things that we want to hear and that we don't want to hear. And no guy wants to hear, hey, while I was on a break or while I was trying to get back with you, I also hooked up with this other guy, but by the way, it was actually really good. And it was like 5 or 6 times. Like he blew my back out every single time. Women are smart enough to know that men don't want to hear that. So instead, you're going to hear stuff like this. Well, it was one time. It wasn't that great. I thought about you the entire time because they know that's stuff that feeds our ego. Rarely is it ever true, guys. So again, she's feeding you a bunch of baloney because she doesn't want you to blow up at her or not be on hold to take her back in the event that she decides, I'm done sleeping with these other guys and he's over there and he's a simp and he'll want me. And you know what? I'm lonely now and I don't want to be lonely. So I'll just go back to him. Like that's the scenario she's setting up. She's never going to tell you this because again, your ego can't handle it. But in my head, that's what's happening. She claimed she wanted to work things out with me. However, while we were discussing this at my place, I noticed she was still chatting with the guy and deleting messages during the week she stayed with me. So this lady was with you for a whole week. And during that time, she couldn't even have the courtesy at least to like block the guy's number or put her phone on silent or have it to where his messages wouldn't pop up. Like if she's going to be sneaky with it and not what you want to know, be sneaky, okay? But the fact that she's blatantly leaving your phone probably like right side up and like letting you see all these messages, this is not a scenario that says that this woman is all in on you. It's a scenario that says she's hitting you up on your ego by making you think she wants to get back at you, while at the same time leaving these other guys in the background at any moment's ready to be able to get with them in the event that she decides to change her mind again. Again, does this sound like the kind of woman that is all in on you? Because I can tell you, women that I've dated, when they're all in on me, there are no exes hitting them up. There are no ex-boyfriends that they have on their social media, still on their Facebook pages. There's no random guy going to come by to get his stuff. Like none of that's happening because women that like you aren't going to do things or allow scenarios to happen that are going to risk her possibly losing you. Clearly, in this situation, she does not actually care if she loses you or not. So that is something for you to consider, guy, is that she is not completely being honest with you, and she's keeping dudes on standby in the event that just either because any of this stuff messes up, or she just wants other guys' attention because it feels good to her. In either scenario, this is not a valid candidate for you to date. So then here's her excuse for why she still has the other guy texting her and whatnot, right? She told me she really wanted us back, but was scared that now that I knew about what she did, I would leave her eventually. So she's basically saying, I had these other guys on standby because you knew about the other guy I sleep with, and I was afraid you were going to dump me. So I have this other guy here in case things with us don't work out. Does that sound like a woman that is confident that not only is she going to be able to get you back, but that she even wants you back? I'd say no. But again, women are going to play to the sensitivities of men. Yes, guys, I know we get a bad rep for not being sensitive, but we are actually oftentimes very overly sensitive to the things that women want. It's why we like, try to figure out ways to talk to them, how not to scare them off, how not to be that jerk guy that she's dated before in her past, because we are sensitive to things women want. Women that know this and don't have, any kind of morality to them will take advantage of that. And they'll do things like cheat on you and then say, oh, but I really want you back. And I just had a weak moment, and we all have weak moments. Please just take me back. And they know if you're a guy that's being sensitive to women, you'll be like, well, she just had a weak moment. Yeah, it was just that one time with that guy, and blah, 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 because we want to believe it. We want to get sex and hookups, and we want to be with a girl. We want to be able to treat a girl right. And sometimes we are so desperate for that we'll take anybody, including somebody that is actually showing toxic traits of a partner, like this woman is. So then he said, up until now, she's still trying to get back with me. I'm conflicted because I truly have strong feelings for her, and my mind is making excuses that since we weren't together, it's okay, and things like that are likely to happen. So what I want to know is, should I still give her a chance? And the only comment I left was no. Now, obviously, this is a video. I'm expanding. I've been told by some commenters, you're so long-winded. I'm a YouTube partner. I got to make these clips 8 minutes so I can at least get some monetary gains off this stuff. But also, people like to watch long-form content. But anyway, so suffice to say, guys, is that he feels some way for her, and he's conflicted. He's saying he's conflicted because he has strong feelings for her, and that's partially true. But also, if we're being honest, guy, our ego cannot take the idea that a woman out there that we dated would not treat us great or see us as great, because we are the heroes in our own story. We like to think that because we're so great, that people out there would not intentionally do things to hurt us, especially women that were once our girlfriends and that that seemingly are showing us signs that they want to get back, but they're just a little confused. I'm here to tell you the harsh reality, which is people will do that to you, even if you are the good guy in your own story, because women are also the good people in their own story. And what they're going to do is they're going to justify all their actions as, but I had a reason to do it, and therefore it's okay to do it. So all the things she said to you about, well, I hooked up with another guy, but I got back with you because, I didn't know if I need to see her about our emotional attachment. Well, I have this other guy on standby because, if we break up again, I'll be so hurt that I got to fall into the legs of somebody else. All that stuff is excuses that she's giving herself and you because she wants to not be seen as the bad guy. She's the bad guy or bad girl in this situation. The reality is, at the end of the day, women that like you help you and are all in on you. They're not hiding other people in the background. They're not giving you excuses as to why they're there one week and then not there the next. They are all in. This woman does not sound like she is all in, and therefore in my head, she is out. It would be different if this was a dating phase. If I was dating this girl and it was month 2, and I found out she was hooked up with somebody else, would I necessarily like it? No, but I'd be more understanding because we don't have titles yet. At the point you guys put titles on this, even if you guys broke up, even if she's hey, if she became your ex and she hooked up with a couple guys for a few months and then wanted to get back, I could see that being a maybe scenario. But she broke up, hooked up, 3 days later, back with you. Hey, let's hook up again. That is not somebody that has loyal behavior. That's somebody that when hard times arise, if you guys get married, then she's going to go out there, fool around and say, well, I only fool around because you weren't listening to me and I needed somebody to listen to me and he was just so gracious and listening that I just fell for it. And then you're going to feel like it's your fault for not being a good listener, when the reality is she didn't have enough self-control or good conflict resolution skills to just settle stuff at the point that she felt them. So take what she's doing right now as a sign of things to come. this woman's not going to get any better just because you want her to. The reality is she is a trash human being, and I don't like to date trash. So if you're asking me personally, at the point that she came back to me and said, well, I slept with somebody else after 2 or 3 days, and then I saw that she had the same person on her phone, I'd have been like, hey, you know what? Best of luck to you and that other person. I'm out of here. If she was like, but Harry, no, wait, but please, I'm blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, he already stuck himself inside of you, so he can continue sticking you because I'm out. Why? Because there are 8 billion people on the planet, 4 billion of which are women, a bunch of which live in your vicinity or maybe a city over. There are other women out there that will treat you better, and it will be all about you versus you sticking with somebody that is trash person. So if you're asking me, I'd say leave this alone. But hey, I'm just the guy on the internet. You ain't got to listen to me. I'm just giving you my 2 cents. So hopefully that helps you out. Okay. So guys, I am going to get some water because I keep forgetting to get water before these shows. So in the meantime, like I said, guys, I have a bunch of great ebooks at the website, which you're going to learn more about right now. Hey guys, Harry Williamson here. And I just want to tell you really quickly about some of the awesome ebooks that I have available at the website. So to start off with, we have my brand new book, Stop Losing Women, which is based off of my previous podcast. And it's over 284 pages of life-changing advice for your dating life. You're going to discover in the span of these pages the ins and outs of how to become more confident, the do's and don'ts of how to attract women, how to pace yourself during the dating process, and ultimately what it truly takes for you to be a more confident dater so that way you can get out there, attract women, and more importantly, stop losing women, okay? The other ebook that I have on my website is called No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams. This is the first book that I ever wrote, and simply put, it is a 12-chapter masterpiece that is designed to, in a very funny way, mind you, guide you through the ins and outs of why all the things you're trying to do right now to attract women can actually cause you to lose them. I mean, things like being the nice guy, overextending yourself, getting too many gifts, too many compliments, and a variety of other things that you may think as a guy I should be doing. This funny book's going to help you figure out once for all why you should not do those things and how to better yourself instead. So be sure to check that book out as well. The other book that's been very popular at my website is called Texting Like a Boss. This is where, for all you guys out there that have problems texting women or don't understand why she starts off so chummy in the terms of the texting things, and then she starts to kind of go away and you can't figure out what's going on or why, or you're not an efficient enough texter to be able to actually get dates by way of texting. Well, this book is going to give you 21 do's and don'ts that are tried, true, and tested so that way you can get the results that you want with women when you're texting them and ultimately not do the wrong things that are going to cause her to eventually ghost you in the texting realm. All right. So check that book out at the website. Lastly, my other popular book that I have there is called 10 Steps to Winning Back Your Ex, the step-by-step, no-nonsense guide to reconnecting with an old flame, regardless of who ended the relationship. And so for you guys that are like, hey, I think I lost a great one and she left me and I want to get her back. Or you might have been the guy that's like, hey, I dumped her and then I realized I made a mistake and I want to get her back. Well, this book covers both of those scenarios in a very detailed step-by-step way that is designed to allow you to figure out what you did wrong, how you can show up better, and the sequence of events you need to go through in order to effectively win back the woman that you are no longer with. So if these things sound like things that'll be helpful to you, then definitely go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the products tab where you can find a summary of all these books as well as my various programs, and they will be more than happy in helping you figure out whatever part of the dating journey you're on so that way you will not be confused and you will ultimately be able to have the dating life that you want. So check those out at the website today. And by the way, all of those books you will have access to when you join the Introvert Dating Success Academy community, because it's got, in addition to like the various programs in there, it's also got every single ebook you can possibly read. So if you're needing a leg up in the game and you want to really get accelerated in that, you can definitely get access to all those books by joining the program. Again, guys, it's limited time, $47 a month. You can cancel anytime, but you will get a lot out of the program as well as the weekly coaching sessions that I do with you guys as a group to answer your questions and really dive deep into some of your issues. All right. But anyway, enough about that. So let's get on with some of the more of the comments here that I got this past week. So we had a question from a guy, and his question was, a girl I was hanging out with last year. I don't know how long they were hanging out for, but he said, I asked her out and got the I'll let you know answer. That's very popular. Hey, I want to take you out on a date. Okay, I'll let you know. I would need to know more about how you asked her, because really, depending on how you ask a woman out on a date, it really does determine the ways in which you're going to get the response that you want versus something like, I'll let you know. Even for women that may be interested in going out with you, if you ask a woman out in the wrong way, then you're going to risk getting this kind of answer. So he got the I'll let you know answer. So I decided to just let her go and move on. After a year of no contact, she saw me recently and went out of her way to come say hi and ask how I was doing, etc. Number one, why do girls do this? And number two, what is the best way to respond in this scenario? All right, so it's a little bit of advanced stuff. Let's do it. Okay, so first off, the reason why a girl would say, I'll let you know, and then not let you know, and then be excited to see you a year later, there's a variety of things that are happening here. So to start off with, in the first part, again, depending on how you asked her out, it could be a thing where she was either turned off by it or didn't know how to respond in the moment. But either way, the fact that she said, I'll let you know, and then didn't try to reach out for a year, that indicates that she wasn't highly interested. All right. Now, in terms of seeing you a year later, a couple things will be happening. One, women know when they stop talking to you. They know when they've ignored you and they have not responded to you, right? So it could be one of those things where the response was excited because she's like, okay, I don't want to make this awkward. I know I ghosted him a year ago, but I don't want to be mad at me. So I'm going to come in with all the hyperactive, excited, joyful energy. So I'll be projecting onto him that I want him to be joyful to see me, and I want this to be a positive interaction, even if I'm not necessarily interested in going into that realm, because women are all about public facing, Again, I went to a family reunion this past weekend where on the surface, everybody was getting along great, but I know there was like behind the scenes turmoil amongst the women leading up to the event that I knew had gone on, but I knew in the public, the rest of the family, they were never going to show that, So just be mindful that happens. But also, the other thing that sometimes happens is that, let's say she said no to you in the thing. I mean, that means however you asked her out, she might have gotten an indication that based on how you were asking her out, that you were needy or desperate for attention, or that you were just wanting anybody to be able to date, and she happened to be free that day, so that's who you chose, right? And so the kind of energy she read off of you in the moment might have been that energy of like, okay, he might be a little too desperate. I don't think I want to do this, so I'm going to put him on the back burner. It is what it is, right? But fast forward a year later where you didn't reach out to her. Now when she sees you, she realizes that was that guy that I thought was so desperate for me, and yet he didn't try to contact me. He didn't reach out to me. He didn't show me desperation, which is good, but also I'm so great. Why didn't he try to at least hit me up again? That's weird. I want to see what this guy's about now. And so it very well could be that time of no contact made it to where she was interested enough and wanted to possibly see you again. Now, right now, we do not know which either of these are, right? Which leads to question number two. What is the best way to respond in this scenario? And this is why I always tell you guys that you need to ask a woman out a minimum of 2 times. Like, for example, in this case, you asked her out and she said, I'll let you know. What I would have done is I would have already thought, okay, she's not giving me a date and time specifically, so she probably isn't interested, but I'm going to wait a week and I'm going to ask her out one more time. And at that point, if she gives me the same old, I'll let you know excuse or whatever, then I know I'm not a high guy on her priority list and I'm out. And I say it because I want you guys to know that you're out earlier in the process than instead of doing what this guy did, which is you got one, I'll let you know, you wait a whole year, you see her again, and she's like, hey, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And now you're confused. Whereas if you had already asked her out twice, you would know, okay, she's just being nice and she's saying hi because maybe we had a friendship vibe going and she really misses the friendship, or she just wanted to be cordial or whatever. But I know that this isn't a thing because she already turned me down twice. It's important for you guys to get turned down at least twice by women. That way you'll have a repeat performance of her saying no, so you won't be stuck on, does she like me or not? I don't know. So that's what I would have done. So in this case, it was a year. And when she saw you again, she said hi. Notice she only said hi to you, guy, by the way, when she saw you in person. She didn't say hi to you on text. She didn't try to reach out to you. So that still is a very low indicator of interest. But again, for your own peace of mind, I would say, hey, reach out to her. Hey, great seeing you each other today. Don't know if you're free on this day or this day, but I'd love to take you out. Let me know what works for you. And then see what she says. If this time she says, oh, you know what? Such and such a day would work great, then that means great. That means that whatever happiness she saw what you saw on her face when she met up with you, that's positive, right? But if she gives you the same, oh, that sounds great. You know what? Give me a few days and I'll let you know. Let me just say, guys, it is always, more often than not, a bad sign when a woman says, I'll let you know, let me check my schedule. Because here's the thing, guy, all women, A, know their schedule, or B, are willing to break their schedule for guys that they're highly interested in. I've literally dated women before that were like, hey, I got a packed schedule, but I can meet for like a 30-minute dinner. Or, man, you know what? I want to see you, but I'm going to be going out of town. Like, I'm flying into town to catch another plane to go back out of town, but I can get like my car for like an hour to come drive to see you. Like, that's what women do when they like you but are busy, is they put you into their schedule, and darn what their schedule is, they will find a way to pencil you in. Women that have low interest to no interest will say things like, I'll let you know, knowing full well that that's going to buy them time, and they're going to hope that you get the point that they're not going to actually hit you up. Like, they're not, because the women that like you, they know their schedule and they're willing to see you. Women that don't like you, just things come up. Oh, I'm busy for the next 5 years, and just, I never have any time. Like, I get up in the morning and I go straight to work, and then I work all day, and then I go straight to home, and I just burrow in my bed, and I don't do any fun things. I don't go to parties. I don't visit family. I just do nothing. No woman's doing that. Unless of course she doesn't like you. So that's what I say, is that ask her out a second time, so you can either get that second rejection and be done with it, or you can get a positive reaction, at which point now you know, oh my God, I can take her out. So hopefully that helps you out. That t-shirt, clean and fitting you what you will. No kidding. Thanks. I'm trying new styles out now. Like, I like the collar shirts and stuff like that, but it's hot. It's California. It's like 80 degrees outside. I got a window open over there. I don't know if you guys can hear the noise or not, but like, I'm like, yeah, it's too hot to be trying to be all dressed up in the afternoon, you know? But thank you, appreciate it. I got more of the shirts coming. I think I got that from like Goodwill or something like that. Like, Goodwill's got a lot of great deals on shirts that fit me pretty well. So anyway, let's see. On to another question I got this week. Let me get my water here. All right. I got a question in the chat. And the question goes, what do you think of Doc Love? Doc Love saying, don't go for the kiss until she kisses you. I think I've heard you say the opposite. I think go in for it when you can. So if you guys have watched this show long enough, I famously have said that Doc Love was one of the main guys that helped me figure out how dating works. Back in 2003, when I was struggling to be a dater and I had 5 months off from school to do a touring company play, I started digging into men's content, and Doc Love was one of the first guys that I found. And a lot of the things that he talked about are principles that I still abide by to this day. There are some things he did that I altered, like he would say things like, wait 5 to 9 days to call a girl between dates. I found I was too anxious after like 4 days. So I typically did 4 days, and I found that worked for me. So that's what I advise you guys to do. But in answer to his question, where Doc Love says, don't go for the kiss until she kisses you, I have found this. One, obviously, if the girl's going for the kiss first, then all kudos, because it saves you a lot of thinking power. But I also found that more important than waiting until she kisses you, it's really being able to read the cues that she's giving you that indicate that she's ready for you to kiss her, right? So here's what most guys do. Guys will go on a date and be like, okay, like let's say, they'll watch my stuff, right? I typically say by the end of the second date, I'm usually able to get a kiss if it doesn't happen on the first date, right? So guys be like, okay, Harry said it's the second date. I got to go for the kiss. I don't see her making any signs, but I'm gonna go for it. Yeah. And then they, whatever, right? But I also used to be a guy back in the day that didn't know how to read the signs that women were throwing. And so I would not go for the kiss and then realize later, oh, she was giving me signs. So that's what you do, is you read the signs that she's giving. What are the signs that women give when they try to give a kiss or that they're ready for a kiss? I typically find that they're looking at your face a lot. If you, just like, as guys, we look at women's cleavage and we think they're not going to see it. Women are looking at us all the time. So we're moving our eyes like this. And we're thinking in our head, they don't see me just do that. Women see everything. They see your eyes moving down like that, right? So because women experience that from us, seeing us move our eyes down to their boobs all the time, they assume that if they do the same thing to us as it pertains to our lips, that we're going to read, oh, she must want to kiss right now. And so a woman will be standing there watching you talk. And she will look at your eyes, glance down at your lips, glance down again, back up. And dudes will totally miss that. And because I've been studying this stuff for so long, I know when I'm going out on a date and I'm looking and talking to a girl, I'll look at her eyes and I'll see her do a quick glance down and I know, oh, she wants me to kiss her. Like, I don't have to think about it anymore, you know? So this is why it's good for you guys to learn the dynamics of how women communicate and especially with their body language, because women are going to be giving you all kinds of cues. They're going to be walking close to you and bumping up against you. They're going to be looking at your face, looking down, looking up. They're going to be getting close to you and kind of whispering secrets, or they're going to say, you know, try to touch your face. Like they'll give you the signals. But even if you don't get all the signals, you still, as a guy on a second date, need to know that you need to get evidence that she either is actually building interest in you or that she's just kind of like blah on you. And so that's where the kiss comes in, because that's your radar to tell if she's actually wanting this to be a thing. So you going in for a kiss and getting a cheek, you're thinking that's the worst thing ever. For me, that's fantastic, because now I know she's not interested, which means I don't have to waste any more time, effort, energy, or money trying to impress this woman, all right? But suffice to say, in terms of you going in for the kiss, I typically stress by the second date, you should already be looking for signals that indicate that she wants that kiss to where you can make that first move. But also, if you don't see those signals, it could be that you're just blind to it and you're not recognizing it. I typically say going for it. Now, if you guys join my Introvert Dating Success Academy community, I talk in there extensively about like the specific moves that I do to be able to garner a first kiss that I have found works every time and has yet to be rejected, all right? And again, you can join that program for $47 a month. Just go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can see on the front page all the things, those slew of things you're gonna get when you join this program. And then if you like what you see, you can join today. You can cancel anytime, all right? But hopefully that answers your question. All right, let me go on to another question I got for this past week. So, okay. So this is a comment I got from a woman under my pull away test video. So as you guys know, I've talked about the various reasons why women pull away. I had a guy comment and say, well, they pull away also because they have another guy in the background. Yes, that sometimes happens. But surprisingly, guys, women can pull away from you without having somebody else in the background simply because you're not doing the right things. So that said, a woman wrote a comment and she said, pulling back may be because the man has an avoidant attachment and he lacks communication. As a woman, I like to communicate my feelings, but he even won't initiate a conversation about future plans. Not a game, but space and time to think if it's worth continuing with a relationship or not. Now, there's a lot of things that she's saying here, and some of it I agree with and some of it I don't agree with. But overall, it's important to get the thoughts and ideas of, or at least the thoughts of what women are thinking about these things, because whether or not we agree with them or not, it is them trying to figure out why they do stuff also. And I give anybody that's trying to figure out the ins and outs of why they react the way they do, kudos, whether I agree with it or not, you know? So let's go over a thing though, right? So the first thing she said was they may be pulling back because the man has an avoidant attachment and he lacks communication. Well, understand, guys, as I've said before, I had extensive conversations this week about the whole idea of communication, right? And so people think that communicating is when I say a thing, you understand what I mean, and you mean whatever, right? But the reality is that just because somebody communicates something doesn't mean that the interpretation of it is the way that you want it to. So she's saying like, oh, if a man has an avoidant attachment thing, he lacks communication. She's thinking that if he's not expressing himself, his feelings, or expressing future plans, that therefore he doesn't care about her. Now, we as guys know that early on in the dating process, if you go about expressing feelings to a woman or saying, I can see a future with us, more often than not, women are going to feel like it's too much too soon, that the guy's already held her heels and she's not there yet, and she's going to bail. And why do men feel that way? Because if you ask the guys that have contacted me on this show, so many of them say, I was just trying to tell her that I liked her and that I was having a great time on a date. Next thing I know, she's ghosting me. And that happens so many times to where I cannot recommend you as a guy doing what this girl is saying, which is I want guys to communicate feelings back and I want them to initiate future plans, right? But that speaks to the other half where she says she might pull away because she needs time and space to think if it's worth continuing the relationship. Now notice, she didn't say that not a guy not doing these things completely turns her off. What she says is it causes a little bit of doubt. Like you go on 3 or 4 dates and maybe you're listening to me and saying, you're not talking about future stuff. You're not talking about feelings. By that 5th date, she might start thinking, he's not mentioning like feelings or anything like that. Or he's not saying he wants a future with me. Like, does this guy really like me or not? Like, I'm having a little bit of doubt about that. You know what? I need time away. I need a little bit of time because I'm feeling kind of apprehensive now. I'm not sure what's going on. And you know what I found when that happens? If a woman starts feeling that, like, if she starts kind of pulling away because of what she's saying, where she's thinking he's not communicating future speak or he's not really talking about his feelings, this and that, I have found that women that are highly interested in you, if they pull away for these reasons, they'll eventually conclude that ultimately she likes you enough to see where this is going to go. And then she'll convince herself that, true to form, well, it's only been like a month. It's only been a month in, so maybe I'm the one that's rushing things too much. Maybe I'm the one that's like, tripping over why do I need to why do I need him to tell him his feelings about me after 1 month? Like, he could be seeing other people, like I'm tripping. So I found that women are very good at coming to the conclusion early on in the dating process that if you're not doing this stuff, they're the ones that are tripping. Unless you come in and start doing the things that she's saying she wants. Because women will say a lot of times things that they think they want from a partner, and then they get it, and then they get turned off. The famous example is like the boyfriend that she met when he was playing guitar in a band, and then they get super serious, and then they get married, and then she's like, hey, so, I wish you wouldn't play the guitar so much. And then it's like, oh, those guys you used to play guitar with, you hang out with them a little bit too much. I wish you would spend more time with me. So then the guy acquiesces because he's trying to make her happy. And then like a year later, find out she's cheating with somebody else. Well, it's because you changed and because you're not the guy that I once met. And you're like, but you told me not to be that guy. So even though women sometimes, guys, this is going to happen. Women are going to come to you sometimes and say that, things that I'm teaching, things that Doc Love's teaching, things that other people are teaching you to do as a guy in the dating process is not a thing. And I would never fall for that. And you should do X, Y, and Z instead. And if you did these things, I would think that you're playing games. I'd pull away. And yet I've just found that when you listen, the women pull away. When you start trying to become the guy that they say they want, and you take their advice as scripture, then usually you kind of find out they didn't actually know what they were talking about. And that's because, and this is what I try to stress to you guys, is that women do not have to overly study on how to get men, because they have men more often than not, on average. This isn't all women, because all women, there's a 1 to 10 scale, but on average, women typically have guys hooting and holler at them, throwing themselves at them, trying to get in their DMs, trying to talk to them all the time at school and at work and all this other stuff. So where they don't have to study about how to get a guy to pay them attention. They have to study more on how to keep a guy, but in terms of actually getting one to pay attention, they don't have to do that, all right? And so they're thinking the things like, women will say, well, you just be yourself. Women can just be themselves. They can be loud, obnoxious, rude, crude, and they can be girls that they're all tattooed up and they've gotten a bunch of surgeries, and they'll still find dudes out there that will want that. All right. So because they're not in the practice of having to learn extra on how to get guys' attention, they think that it should be the same way for guys. You should just be able to be yourself. You should be able to tell your feelings. You should be able to do whatever, because girls can do that to us. And we're just like, if it means I'm going to get the lay, that's fine. But guys, you cannot do that, because even if they're saying they think they want that, they're basing that on how things work for them. How things work for them in the attraction process is drastically different from how it's going to work for you. And so you trying to be a guy that's telling feelings and trying to talk about future speak on an average is going to get you turned away. There are women out there that you can say that stuff and they won't be bogged down or turned off by it. But that's not the majority of women. I can only teach you guys based on what the general woman is going to be fine with. And I found that you don't lose points with most women if you're not talking future speak or feelings. Now, I've also found that women that need that early on are the kind that are desperate and needy, and also had like some traumatic stuff happen in their childhood where they didn't get enough strokes as a kid from mommy and daddy. And so they're always seeking approval. Those are the kind of women you don't want to date either, because they're going to take up all your time. They're going to be overly jealous. They're going to be wondering why it is you didn't say I love you today to me when you said it 2 times yesterday, because they need to always hear it in order to feel whatever. And that, guys, on both sides of the equation, men and women, gets exhausting for the other partner to have to do all the time. So I would argue, if this is a woman that needs to have feelings communicated after 3 or 4 dates, or wants to hear future speak after, date number 5, she might be a person that went through some trauma. And so I don't know her personally like that. I'm just gauging on there are women of my past that I met that were kind of like this, that ended up being the ones that had trauma and were always like in tumultuous relationships, and they ended up not being worth dating. So you got to be mindful of that. But I just wanted to read her comment because I want you to get an idea of like some of the things that women are trying to figure out for themselves. So thank you, women, for listening. Again, I don't necessarily agree with the various concepts, but I do understand the pulling away part. Guys, there's going to be there's women's attraction is interesting in that men are very much like this. If I'm attracted, boom, I'm on the attraction train unless she does just something downright and dirty or shows disloyalty. Women are going to go through this emotional roller coaster where, like, you can go on a date with her for like the first 3 dates. It's up and up and up and up. And then date 4, maybe she's, not as enthusiastic as she was before. And dudes turn on the panic button like, oh, it's date 4. And now she's suddenly, there's a downtick. Oh my God, she must not like me anymore. Guys, it is a roller coaster for them because they're going from, they didn't know you 3 dates ago. And now they're having to go through their head of like, is this going to be the guy? I'm dating another guy. Could he be the guy instead? Or this is date number 4 and he's doing this like weird thing I didn't see him do before. Or he has this weird habit where he breathes out of his nose weird. Can I handle that? Like, they're trying to figure out all these things to where not every time she sees you is she going to be on the high up and in, right? But so if during those times she pulls away a little bit, you don't need to panic, but you also don't need to rush in and try to assure her that you like it. No. Let her pull away, give her time to think, and then assuming that her interest is still pretty high, she will come back to you. And all I did during dating is just ask women on dates. Like, I stuck to asking women out once a week. So if I had date number 4, it went just kind of okay, whatever. Okay, I'll wait 4 or 5 days and see if she reaches out. And if not, on that day 4 or 5, I will reach out. Hey, let's go on another date. All I can do is reach out and see if she says yes or no. More often than not, I found they were saying yes, so things kept going. But during that time, I wasn't talking to her. That gave her the space she needed. This is why I'm a big proponent of you building in time for her where she gets her alone time. If you're just taking out a woman once a week and you're only texting her, like you're only initiating text once or twice a week to ask her out, then she can't get bored of you as easily. But more importantly, you're giving her that alone time to where she's less likely to pull away from you. But when you don't build in time for her to be away from you, it starts to feel less like her decision, which is going to make her want to pull away a bit to be able to get back to dating this guy is my decision. So do her a favor and just build that in for her. And you'll find more often than not, she'll be coming to you instead of running away. Because if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But if you're not giving her room or building in time for her to want to come to you and chase you, then you're going to lose her. So hopefully that discussion helped you guys out. All right, let's see. Another question. Speaking of, here's a good question. Okay, so this guy has a question about dating apps. And I wanted to show you this real quick because anything you want answered about dating apps ever is in this part of the program. So when you join the Introvert Dating Success Academy community, you get access to all of my videos that I've done over the years from my Stop Miscommunicating with Women series, my Top Secret Dating Blueprint, and of course, my also popular Smart Digital Dating. So in that series, I give you the ins and outs of how to set up your dating bio, how to set up your pictures the right way. I give you guys the breakdown of how women experience dating apps, and then I go extensively into how to message women, how to ask them out, and the kind of dates that you plan for first dates. So you can get that from the program. Go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. Click on, if you like, you read through what the program's about. If you like it, you can click onto it. $47 a month, cancel anytime. But I will say this, in terms of asking women out on dating apps, the one secret, and I've given this up on the show before, so I don't mind repeating it here. But he says, Harry, what's your advice for asking women out on dating apps? I normally send a few messages back and forth for a day or two. Women seem interested, but then I ask if she would like to meet up. And more often than not, they either don't respond or just unmatch. I'm not trying to ask them to meet up right off the bat, but I'm also not trying to send messages back and forth for a week. Are these behaviors representative of women who just aren't interested in me or dating in general? So a few things are going on. For one, let's be real. There are a lot of bots on dating apps these days to where sometimes you could be talking with like an AI person, or there are guys in there that pose as women just to kind of see what women's experiences are like on there. And so you could be talking to dudes. So we're going to take these two scenarios, put them to the side. So in terms of the real women that you're actually talking to on dating apps, like I said, I go over extensively in my program what that's about. But here's a major thing that I found helpful, right? Is that asking women questions looks and feels feminine. Telling women what you want to do appears and feels more masculine. So if you're on a dating app and you're having a good rapport with a woman, and then you all of a sudden say, hey, this is a great chat. Hey, how do you feel about meeting up? Subconsciously, you asking her the question puts her in the leadership position. It's like a kid coming to the parents. Hey, mommy, can I go outside? Hey, mommy, can I go to the playground? Hey, so-and-so, can we go out on a date? It gives that kind of energy. Now, is that fair? It is not. I wish it was different. I wish that asking a woman a question in terms of getting her on a date would not feel subconsciously like feminine behavior, but it does. And so that's a big reason why a lot of you guys fail to get dates with women that you've been talking to, is because you're asking them. And it's almost like you're asking them for permission. But then how do you get them on a date if you're not supposed to ask them? Where this goes to, you tell them. All the dates that I got off of dating apps were not from me asking, hey, do you want to go on a date? I put it in the form of a phrase or a sentence that tells them I want to do this thing and to let me know when they're available. So in my case, I'd be like talking to a girl on the thing. This has been great. Hey, you know what? We should go out. We should meet up for like pizza sometime. Let me know if you're free on Tuesday or Wednesday. In none of that have I asked a question. I've told her we should go out, which translates to we are going out, and I'm going to give you 2 days that work for me. You just let me know which one works. In none of that have I phrased it as a question. Now, some of you might be like, why does it matter so much if it's a question versus a sentence? Like, what's the difference between saying, hey, do you want to go out with me versus, hey, we should go out, let's do it on this day? And it goes to saying it as a sentence and as a phrase is giving the feeling to a woman of leadership. You are now taking the reins of this conversation and saying, we are going to put this in the real world because that's what we're on here to do. Versus over here, it's more like, I want to take this into the real world. Is it okay if we do that? And it's all about energy. And even if you're just texting women back and forth, your words are giving off a certain impression of you and are giving off a certain kind of energy. The question energy is of a guy that's anxious and nervous and apprehensive and isn't sure of himself. Phrase/sentence energy is of a guy that is able to take charge. He knows what he wants. He goes after it, and he knows he's going to get it because why wouldn't he get it? He's the guy in charge. And women find that more attractive than when you ask them on a date. So you could say it sounds stupid, that it shouldn't matter, that women should just know, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what you think women should be doing. I care about what they actually respond to. And I have found on dating apps, women respond better to when I phrase things as a sentence versus when I ask it as a question. I got way more dates when I stopped asking women as a question, want to go out and saying, hey, let's go out. Let me know when you're free. So hopefully that gives you some insight. But beyond that, I don't know what your conversations were about. I don't know how long you were talking at it. But I just found, again, that's one of those big things that could be really doing a number on you, the number of yeses you're getting. Now, if you want more insights into dating apps in general and how to really live your best life, then definitely, once again, I highly recommend you joining the Introvert Dating Success Academy's community, where not only do you get all these programs, but you'll also get to talk to like-minded men on your journey towards becoming a fantastic dater. All right. You can get that at introvertdatingsuccess.com. All right. Once again, guys, this show is all about you. So if you have any questions you want to ask me in the chat, feel free to do so, and I will answer them during the course of the show. All right. Let's get on to another question that I got this past week. So speaking of space, there's another guy here. This guy left a comment under my why women say they need space when they still want to date you video. And he says, so I got hit with the I need space comment. 3 days later, I got a greeting text. I responded the same. Then later, she sent me a selfie. So I sent a selfie. The next day, I sent her a greeting because she sent one the previous day. She responded with, this great of a workout she had, et cetera, et cetera. I responded with, that's great. Next day, today, I haven't heard a thing. Now I'm not sure if I should have texted more than that's great. Lots to unpack here. So to start off with, the fact that the guy got the phrase from the woman that said, hey, I need space, and then he was able to not contact her, and she came back 3 days later, all that worked exactly how it's supposed to. She said, I need space. He went no contact, and he waited. And guys, the first time you do this, it's going to feel like it's taking so long. Like he says it happened 3 days later, but that 3 days can be excruciating because you're thinking it's been a day. She hasn't talked to me. It's over. She's not going to come back to me. You have to get in the practice of letting women have time away from you and letting them come to you. And I promise you guys, if you start to practice this, the next time a girl says, I need space to you, or just ghost you for a little bit, try not talking to her and just seeing what happens. Like, I know you really want her. I know you're like stressing about, I want this to work out so badly. Both people need to want this to work out in order for it to work out in the first place. And so you trying to persuade her and pressure her to think that way is usually going to result in her wanting to head for the hills. So as you can see from this guy, like I say all the time, leave them alone and they will come to you. So after 3 days, he got a greeting text. Now, from there, the rest of the way he made mistakes, because here's the thing. As I said on this show before, when a woman reaches out to you, that indicates that she's wanting your time and your attention. So even if she went ghost or no contact for 3 days, at the point that she reached out, that is woman code for, hey, I want to see you. Now, they're not going to say that on the phone because admittedly, if they waited 3 days to contact you, they're trying to come back in, but they're not sure if, like, based on that time away, if you're so mad or upset with them that maybe you don't want to see them now. Maybe you got a girlfriend in that time because you figured she was playing games or whatever. The point is, women think about this stuff too. They're thinking, okay, I want to hit him up. I want to see him again, but maybe I was tripping on that 3 days and he doesn't want to see me. So I'm just going to reach out with a little note, and then that's going to let him know that I want his attention again. Yeah, let's do that. So she'll send something like, hey, hi, what's up, cutie? What's going on? Rarely, in fact, never will you get a text from 3 days later from her saying, hey, so-and-so, I want to see you again. Let's go out. You're not going to get that text because as a woman, she's still looking for you to lead the interaction to a date. And so when women reach back out to you, this is when you say things like, hey, so-and-so, great to hear from you. Let me know if you're free this week. I'd love to have you come over for dinner. Like, super simple, but the point of her reaching out, ideally, is she wants to see you again. So if she reached out and said, hey, so-and-so, what's up? And you just said back, hey, I'm doing well. What's going on with you? Just small little banter. Oh, I'm doing well. Hope everything's blah, 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 blah. Then you would say, that's great. Things are going great. Hey, you know what? I'm busy right now, but would love to have you come over this weekend. Let me know if you're free on this day or this day, you know? So you're putting it back on, this is a date. What this guy did, he probably learned from somebody else that you need to mirror women. So if she sends a selfie, you send a selfie. She says, that's great. You say, that's great. None of that is getting her over to your place. So the mistake he made was not setting a date and not inviting her over. At the point that she reached out, that's code for, okay, I had my downtime. You gave me space. I appreciate you doing that for me. And now I want to see you again. Please invite me over. At no time is she going to say any of this because she might be slightly embarrassed, but more importantly, she's assuming you as the guy just know to do that. Like, women make a lot of assumptions about what we as guys should already know to do. And that's a problem, admittedly, that women have that they need to be coached out of, like assuming that guys know things. They don't. I know it because I wanted to get women and I got tired of not knowing stuff. So I studied extensively to where I can tell you guys that when women are reaching out to you, that's code for, please invite me back over to your place or invite me on a date. Just know that going in, right? Now, if you do that and she gives what the excuse the guy gave earlier of like, where the girl's like, you know, oh yeah, I'll let you know later on. Then you know, okay, she's just reaching out for attention, at which point you leave it alone until she comes to you and says, hey, so-and-so, long time no see, what's up? But for the most part, if they're reaching out to you, you invite them over. That's the simplest thing you can do. So in terms of him saying, I'm not sure if I should have texted more than that's great. Yeah, you should have been like, that's great. Well, I'm busy right now, but hey, would love to see you. Let me know if you're free X day or next day to come over. Boom. And then on that point, it's on her. But you always make the invite when they reach back out, all right? And then for whatever reason she needed space, take that as a sign that whatever you were doing before, it was way too much. Maybe you were texting her too much. You weren't allowing her to initiate enough of the text. You were seeing her too often. And just know that when a woman says, I need space, that should be intel. You shouldn't get insulted by that. And the reason, because I've had some guys say, well, if a woman needs space, she should be able to tell me that. You got to understand, the experience of women is that when they tell guys that they need space, they take it badly. They take it like, oh, she must not like me anymore, when it could just be he was doing the most and she needs time to reset so it doesn't feel like she's being overwhelmed by your presence. That is not bad intel, but guys take it as such. So take this as intel that whatever you're doing before was too much, either too much texting, too much calling, too much meeting up together, too much talking about sex, whatever. And just know you need to curtail that a little bit and let her be the one that lets you know at the pace at which this is going for her. You know, let her be the one to reach out more for text than you do. Let her be the one to say, I love you more than you do. Because I've said before, they feel things 3 times more. If you're thinking relationships should be 50-50, you are wrong. If you're texting 50% of the time and she's texting 50% of the time, your 50% feels like 150. It is too much. So figure out whatever it was you were doing too much of that made her be like, I need space, and then do less of that, and you will find that she will stick to you like a sucker fish. So hopefully that helps you out. All right. Let's see. This one was pretty good too. Okay, so we had a comment this week under my video, The Realities of Post-Date Harassment for Women. And that's where I interviewed a colleague of mine who was a woman that got harassed extensively by guys. And so that's why, you know, sometimes she'll pull away, or that's why she doesn't need guys that she's dating to move as fast, you know? So this guy left a comment. He said, we have to play a game of red light, green light with women. We message them, go on dates, and hook up. Then, for no reason at all, they stop replying, and we experience radio silence. Don't bother her for a month or two. If you run into each other on the street, say a friendly hello with an excited voice, wave your hands, and greet her as you would while picking up the mail or with your friends after work. Then the dating picks up again, along with intimacy and sharing. But soon, there's silence again. Everything has to go at the woman's pace. We men have no control over it. If we push, when she starts behaving weirdly, we get blocked and HR contacts us. If we totally disregard the woman, we're labeled as unfriendly. So I appreciate that comment because it really does highlight the experience and frustration that a lot of you guys are having during the dating process. Now, I used to be in that same boat. I used to feel all the things that this guy is feeling and thinking. I'm no longer in that boat, and that's because I diligently went into wanting to learn and understand the ins and outs of women. I took it like a Spanish class. Like when I go into Spanish class, I am bad at speaking Spanish. But if I take the lessons, if I practice a few times, if I take some tests, and some are like C minuses and some are B's, and eventually I get to A's, then I gradually get good at it. But going in and trying to speak Spanish initially is frustrating when you don't have a basis for anything. You don't know that, comida means food. You don't know that hola means hi, or like you don't know a lot of stuff. And so it can be very frustrating, right? So I want to address some of the frustrations that this guy talked about because I think they're important for you as a guy to know, because these frustrations are totally normal when you don't really know women all that well, and it can be very frustrating, just like they get frustrated with us. So he says, we have to play a game of red light, green light with women. We message them, go on dates, and hook up, and then for no reason at all, they stop replying, and we experience radio silence. So the first thing is this, is that ultimately, more often than not, when a woman stops replying and goes silent, on average, it's not for no reason. It might be for reasons that you're currently unaware of as a guy, but it could be for reasons that have to do with you. It could be for reasons that have to do with her. It could be for reasons that have to do with like other things going on in her life. You do not know, I remember one time when I was in college, I got upset because there was this girl that I was trying to date, and I knew that she liked me for a bit, and then all of a sudden it just went away, and I was like, what's that about? We've been friends for a long time. It seemed like we had a long, great, or aren't we dating? And then like during the course of the next school year, it was kind of like she'd be flirting with me, and then she'd like me for a little bit, and then it would go away, and I know what's going on, right? Kind of found out years later, she's a full-blown lesbian now, and she was still trying to figure out that part of her journey. But I was taking it personally because I'm thinking it's because something I did and I don't know what it is. And she just, all women are crazy, whatever. But the point is that she had her own stuff going on in her head, And so I just learned as I've gotten older that sometimes things are happening that you don't know about that make her pull away. But sometimes also you as a guy are not aware that how you're talking, the things you're saying, the kind of date you're planning, the kind of topics you're bringing up on the date, the level of touchy-feeling that you're trying to do early on. Women aren't saying things about those things because in their past, when they try to bring them up, the guys lash out. So she could be on the date being like, everything's totally fine. And then next thing you know, you're not hearing from her. The number of guys I've had say, I was talking to this girl and I hooked up against her and she gave me a smile and she seemed to really, really like it. And then she suddenly just stopped talking to me. And I'm thinking, it's because you were touching her and all this stuff, and she was smiling at you because she didn't want to make a fuss. But in reality, she wasn't feeling that stuff at all, And so if you know more, for example, about when to touch women on dates, when to go for that first kiss, the kind of things that women don't want to talk about on dates, or average reasons why women will pull away from you, then when those things happen out in the wild, you'll be like, oh, crap, I did this thing, didn't I? Okay. Or you'll be like, she asked for a second date. That's great because I didn't do any of this stuff that I did before. So that's why I say it behooves you. And I really stress on this channel, like the idea that, women have their own stuff to deal with, but my job for you as a guy is to take self-ownership of the things that you're doing on your end to either attract women or to repel women. And it's good to know both things, because if you're complaining that, women just go from like wanting to hook up with me to not, then there is seriously something wrong that is happening in your dating process that you need to be made more aware of, so that will happen a lot less. All right. But rarely do women just be like, yeah, that was a good hookup. Okay, I'm out of here. Do. Like, hey, I'm 42. Maybe it happens more in the younger generation where they're just like, I'm going to hook up with a guy and just leave him. But I find to this day that women still are typically trying to hook up with dudes with the idea of getting into relationships. So if a woman's hooking up with you and then all of a sudden she goes ghost, just like I remember one time I hooked up with a woman, and then after our hookup, the next time we went on a date, she was telling me about all these times that she was in abusive relationships where sometimes she was also abusive. And I was like, and then she started like being extra needy with the text and then trying to want my attention all the time and also the stuff. So I was like, oh, I got to get out of this. You ask her, I probably ghosted her because I got what I wanted as a guy. I got to hit it and quit it, and now I don't want her anymore. And she has no idea that all the stuff that she was bringing to the table after the hookup was what made me leave. So as guys, you got to get out of the idea out of your head that like you're doing everything right and that it's just women are crazy. You got to look at objectively, what are things that you could be possibly doing that is causing this to happen? Because if it was like one woman, you went out with one woman, hooked up with her, she left you, okay, she's crazy. 5, 6, 9, 10 women, it's not just them. So you got to consider that. So then he says, so then they do the whole thing of they don't bother you for a month or two, and then you run into each other and she's friendly, and then she wants to hook up again. And I talk about this all the time about how if you're doing so much and they go no contact, it's because they need time to reset, and they need time to not feel that you're a guy that's as needy as you're currently making yourself look in their lives. So they leave you for a month, they see you out somewhere, they realize, oh, he didn't contact me for a month. He's not tripping over me being gone. He didn't throw a fit. He didn't try to stalk me. So you know what? Maybe I was reading things the wrong way. I'm going to hook up with this guy again. But you know what happens that guys don't take into account? They do another hookup with the girl, and then they bring back in all the behavior that caused them to pull away in the first place. And then the girl's like, oh, I thought he wasn't like this anymore, but he still is. I got to pull away again. And again, these are all subconscious behaviors. So they're not thinking consciously, oh, he's doing the same stuff. I got to go away. But what's happening is you're now giving her that same feeling tone that you gave her the first time that she pulled away from you. And so now she's got to pull away again. And you're sitting there, well, oh, and that's because as guys, like, once we make a decision on somebody, we're stuck. Well, unless they do something cataclysmic or like, stop showing loyalty, we will typically be like, I will make this work. I'm in for thick and thin. But women are a feelings-based journey. If they start feeling things that indicate that you're going back to the way you were before, that they didn't like, that's all it takes for them to want to get out. And so guys get bugged by that because we are wired differently. So you don't have to like the way women are wired and the fact that they'll come back in and then they'll hang with you a little bit more, then they'll go back out. But if you're causing them to have those same feelings that they had before, yeah, that's going to happen a lot. So this is why I tell you guys, a lot of this is intel. When a woman goes no contact, that is code for you were doing things that indicated to me that you were needy or desperate, or you were just not being a man, and I had to go away. I decided to come back to you now because you, by leaving me alone for a month, I realized maybe you were actually a man's man. Maybe I was tripping. But now that I'm back with you, you're going back to that behavior before, and I don't like that feeling. And so women are always going to be ebb and flow with their feelings. And so to them, they have the complete right to be able to leave you and come back based on how you're making them feel at any given moment. The more consistent you are in doing things that show you as masculine, show you as a leader, and show you as a guy that is confident versus needy, then they're going to be more apt to want to stay around and stick around longer. So that's an example of like things that you as a guy have to learn and know. And then as you start to learn those things, you'll be, and not that you won't ever be frustrated, but you'll be more understanding of where women are coming from. And as a default of that, you will be less frustrated in the long run. And that's all about, again, I cannot control what women do or what women at large act as though. Women come to me sometimes and ask me questions and I give them answers, but ultimately they're going to operate on whatever operating system they were born with, right? I can only help you guys figure out what's going to work best for you and your operating system, and understanding theirs to a point where, okay, now that I've given you the instructions for their operating system, know that this system is not going to change. But here are some guides to get around these parameters, so that way you won't have to deal with the negative side of this operating system. That's all I can do for you guys. So hopefully, if you're able to take that and understand that, you'll be able to do a better job on your end of things, which will show, and by way of that, you'll get better results from her. So hopefully, guy, this helps answer your question. All right. We got a question in the chat here. And the question goes, Oh, it's just a comment. He says, I found out late how important it is to tease a woman. An incredible tool. I wish someone would have told me earlier. Well, the funny part is that I think back again. I went to a family reunion this past weekend, right? Where I have a lot of female cousins, and I'm left and right joking them, making little jabs here and there. Nothing like overly mean, or like I don't like to, even if my relatives, I don't like to like hit it, things that are going to cause self-esteem. If I have a woman in my family that's like a big woman, I'm not gonna say, hey, you need to put down that turkey bone. Like, I'm not that kind of guy, right? But I know how to tell like sarcastically funny jokes, be like, yeah, right, like all the kind of stuff, right? And it's like, we do this as kids all the time with our sisters, our female family members, our little cousins that are female. We're joking with them all the time, whatever. And we do that, and they still want to hang around us. And yet, when we go out into the world and we see women we want to date, we think, oh no, I can't treat her like that. Here's the key, guy. I'm just saying this right now because I wanted to mention this before. Here's the thing, right? Because women, when they're kids, grow up around other male family members that are joking them and making fun of them and teasing them, that's actually the communication that they're used to getting, And I talk this because, a lot of things that we experience in our childhood affects how we are as adults and what we like. So women in their childhood, just like boys are too, but women are experiencing, sometimes people saying, you're not as cute as you think you are. You're not that pretty, or, oh, you're just that, whatever. Like, treat them like they're just a bratty little snot nose, whatever, right? But that becomes the behavior that they're used to and that they find fun and that they like in their interactions, which is why when they get with a guy that's just super serious and like, oh, you're my princess and you're my sweetheart and I just love it, they're thinking, why can't this guy be as fun and playful as like what I got as a kid, subconsciously? Because that's the interaction that they grew up around. And women are typically going to be dating guys that give them a similar feel to what they got as children, good or bad. It's why women that grew up in abusive households find guys that are also abusive, because whether they like it or not is one thing, but they're comfortable in the environment that they grew up around. And so because most women experience teasing and playfulness as a kid, is it any wonder why if you come in a super serious guy, can't keep a woman? It's because that's not what they're used to. They're used to people that are joking them a little bit to keep them on the same level. And you're coming along, oh, you're my princess. You're the prettiest thing I've ever seen. You're just so gorgeous. Oh my God, I can barely even talk to you. You're putting her up here when nobody in her family growing up put her up there. Like, her dad might've been occasionally, you're my princess or whatever, but even he was jabbing at her and joking her a little bit and teasing her, making fun of her and being playful. Like, that's what they're used to. So we already have the understanding and knowing of how to do that. But we get scared with women we like because we think we got to be different and it's going to scare them off if I'm teasing them or I might say something that's inadvertently too mean. And like I said, I'm not for like taking hard neg hits and jabs at women, but being playful, taking words that they say and say, yeah, right. I make fun of words that women say all the time, or I'll use little jokey little concepts to talk about other things. But like, I am very jokey and jovial and not so super serious with women. And I find that women that I date like that. Women that are super serious and they don't really typically fall for that. So, or it's not that you can't be serious in moments, but like you come into the table trying to, on date one, trying to make this a relationship and we got to talk about serious topics and where were you born and what are your dreams about? Like all that stuff, it's get to know you stuff, but it's not fun. It's not fun interaction. So as guys, honestly, what will really help you is to just get back to that, to get back to being a fun guy that can talk with anybody. And you want to talk to women like you talk to everybody else, just with a little added flirtation, a little bit of like knowing that you want to also bang her brains out. Like that's really the best way to go about communicating with women that you're interested in. But I'm glad you were able to find that out. Better late than never is what I always say. All right. So let's see. Another comment I got this week. Let's see what I got here. Okay. So we got a pretty good question that from this past week. So this guy had a question. He said, hi, Harry, have you ever dated a woman who was slow to initiate physical contact, example, hand holding, and still had high interest? I did not get or see any signs that this particular woman wants physical contact. So I will put it this way. It's a lot easier to date women that are already trying to touch you. I've said before here on first dates, I try to leave myself open to touch. So like if I'm at a table with a woman and we're talking, I might, put my hands on the table like this, across the table like this, and just leave them there. Because I know at some point, as she's starting to feel me, she'll be like, oh, and then this one story, and then she'll reach over and she'll touch me. It's a subconscious thing that they'll do, but that lets me know that her brain's already saying, yes, I accept you being able to touch me. And those women I found are a lot easier to end up getting hookups with and to end up getting to relationships with versus the struggle of, I can't read this person at all. Now, to be fair, again, some women, they went through trauma and they're not willing to do any kind of initial touching until such a time as they really feel ready. But I found more often than not that the women that are slow to try to touch you, it's usually because they're in their head about like, do I really want to date this guy? I'm not completely sure about this person yet. I don't know if this is going to be the person. I could be dating like 5 or 6 other people, and this is just one of the people that I'm currently seeing, and he's not really high up on the list. I have typically found it's not the best sign in the world. And, I don't want to downplay any women that'll come in here and say things like, well, no, I typically wait till date 3 or 4 before I start doing whatever. Hey, that is your journey. But I have found women with high interest will really break all the rules that they have. Like a woman that's like, well, I don't hook up until date 4 or 5 will justify in her head for you, if she has high interest, why it is she now has to break that rule. And those women are easier to date. Like real talk, guys, like women that like you, help you, women that don't won't. So even if a woman is typically, I've dated women before that have told me unequivocally, I'm not usually this touchy-feely, but somehow with you, I just want to touch you all the time. And that is the difference between a woman that has high interest and a woman that is just so mid-level to low interest. And if you want to make your dating life easier, go on a few first dates where you leave yourself open to touch and wait to see if she does it. If she does not, you are probably dealing with somebody where it's going to be a lot longer and harder of a journey to get her to where she's interested. Could it happen? It totally could. But while you're trying to make that woman work, there are 2 or 3 others out there that would be touching you on the first date, kissing you on the first date, heaven knows, even hooking up with you on a first date. So I found typically, like, it's not that they can't have interest, but again, it usually indicates that there's some trauma there because they're a bit apprehensive about, well, I don't want to touch him and I don't want to be touched and all this other stuff. And also I found those women typically have a lower sex drive. Again, that's just my experience. You may have experienced different, so don't take that as gospel. I'm just pointing out what my experience has been. So I would say that try to date women that ideally are all about trying to touch you and initiate that physical touch fast, at least by the second date. If by the second date, they're not trying to hold your hand or bump up against you or look and stare at your lips, then you probably have somebody that's trying to get to like you, but it's just not there. It's just my experience. So hopefully that gives you some better intel. And again, guys, this show is about you. So if you have any questions you want to ask me, leave them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, we got a question here. And this person's question said, I did a Polaroid test video. Now in that video, because I talked earlier about like guys saying you should mirror, but in terms of texting, in terms of the amount of texting you're doing, that is an example of one where if you find that women are pulling away because you're texting them too much, then yeah, you wait for she texts you, you text back. If she waits 20 minutes, I wait a minimum of 20 minutes, and then we're trying to get her to see like, I want more time. I want more communication texting, but you don't want to overburden women. Ultimately, guys, texting is like this. It's a tennis match. You send a text, wait for her to respond. Ideally, she's going to respond in a timely manner. But if it takes her 3 or 4 hours, it could be because she's at work, she's whatever. The point is, she's not putting her life on hold to text you back right away, and you should not either. All right. Now, with that said, this guy said, I disagree with mirroring all the time. If I can text back straight away, I will. If I've got something going on elsewhere in life at the moment, I will text her back when I can. I won't deliberately go, I'm going to make her wait 3 hours. That's just ignorant, and I would not feel good taking that into a full-blown relationship. I would like to think she has the same attitude towards me instead of a game-playing mindset. So I appreciate the comment. Here's reality. A lot of the tips that I give guys on this channel are guys that have been failing with women. And part of the reason that they fail with women is because they have ideas in their head about what they should or should not be doing. And more importantly, they have ideas about what women are going to be mad at if they don't do these actions. Now, one of those things is if I don't respond back to a woman's text right away, she's going to be mad at me. She's going to be thinking I'm playing games. She's going to be upset with me. And then, so therefore, I need to text back every single time when she texts me, so that way she knows that I'm going to always be there and I'm not playing games. Now, I, as a guy, used to do that. And you know what happened? I found that doing that as a guy resulted in women starting to answer back less, text less, and eventually ghost me, right? But I didn't know how to make that stop, because on one hand, it's like, okay, if they text me and I'm free, of course I'm going to respond back to them. I'm not playing games, right? But on the other hand, I'm finding that when I do that, women are pulling away. And again, as I say all the time, if it was just one woman, I could say that woman's tripping. But I found that woman after woman after woman, if I was able to always respond back right away, they would eventually ghost. So this brings into my mind a conundrum, which is, what do I do to fix this? I don't know. And so I just learned from other people I was learning from at the time, hey, you know what? You're a man that is busy. You have other things going on, and women need to get the impression and idea that that's happening. And one of the ways they get that impression is to not hear back from you right away all the time. And so when I say things like, you know what, guy, next time, if you text a woman and she waits 3 hours to get back to you, you need to wait 3 hours. I'm not necessarily saying that as a way for this guy to play games with her. I'm saying that to the guy because he needs to experience a woman not getting mad at him for not responding back right away. And the only way that a guy that up to this point has not done that gets that kind of practice is to intentionally do that. Now, guys think if they're intentionally doing an action, that they're now playing games and they're not being honest, and so therefore it's not going to be whatever. And I get it, guy, you're going to feel weird about doing that initially because it's not what you're used to. But here's the thing. I just care about, one, results, and funny enough, I care about what women want. And what I learned based on my intel is that women want their men to be busy, and women subconsciously need you to not be available all the time. Because think about this, right? I've heard these conversations from women, right? Where they'll be around other women and they'll be talking about a guy. It's like, yeah, he texts me all the time. Every time I text him, he's able to answer back right away. And it's just like, he's just always available, which to women, they have in their head, here's the guy I'm dating that's always by his phone, ready for me to hit him up because he needs my attention so desperately. That is a turn off to women. Versus the other conversation I've heard from women where it's like, hey, so-and-so, so have you heard from your boyfriend today? Oh, you know what? He's busy off doing some this and that or whatever. He's busy working on this big project, so I probably won't hear from him until later tonight. What is she not saying in that? She's saying, my guy is super busy. He's out there making successes and chasing goals and dreams, and that makes him a real go-getter, and I admire that. So when he hits me up later, because I know he will, I'm going to just be so enamored to hear from him and hear all about his day, and that is a turn-on to women. So some of the things that I tell you guys, you're going to be thinking, it's just playing games. No, it's me having the understanding that when I do certain things, women respond in a positive way, whereas before, when I was doing other things, it didn't work out. And most of the stuff that I teach you guys is be patient with women. Like with the phone thing, right? I'm not saying lie to women. I'm saying, hey, be patient. Wait 3 hours so she gets to feel the absence she gets to feel your absence. She gets to anticipate wanting to hear from you. And these things conjure up good things, but also it gives you the understanding that when there are actual times where you can't be available, she's not going to be butthurt by it. And that's intel you need, because you need to know if you're dating a woman that's going to be fine with you at times that you're not able to reach back right away, or if she's going to be the kind that's going to be like, you didn't text me back after 5 minutes. Oh my God, what's going on? You must be this and that. And I dated that woman. I dated those women that they need to be texted back right away all the time, to where if I like sent a text and then went to the bathroom for like 5 or 10 minutes to shower or whatever, and then came back, I had my phone. Hey, why aren't you answering back? Hello, what's going on? Are you cheating on me? Those kind of women are annoying as crap to date. But if you occasionally, she texts you and you don't get back for like an hour or two, and you get back to her and she hasn't freaked out on you, guess what? You probably got a level-headed woman. Congratulations, you found that out. So this is why this goes back to, I think it is perfectly fine for both men and women to have things that they do that test the other person. It'd be great if you didn't have to, but realistically, you're dating somebody that is not yet a known entity. You do not know all of what is going on in their head, if they're level-headed, if they're going to be somebody that's going to actually be able to like not see you for a time and not be bogged down by it, or if they don't see you for an hour, are getting jealous or thinking you're cheating, all these other things. So this is why I tell you guys, it's perfectly fine to do these things. You're thinking, he said, doing that kind of thing is just ignorant and I wouldn't feel good taking that relationship. Well, what you're doing during the dating phase is doing things that vet to see if she's an evil, level-headed woman, or an even and level-headed woman, to whereby in the relationship phase, these tests won't be as necessary because you'll have a good gauge of who she is by month 3 or 4. And even then, you're going to learn more stuff about her as you actually get into a relationship. But suffice to say, in the beginning, as hopeful as you are that this person's going to have a good head on their shoulders and be the right person, you do not actually know them. Guys make assessments way too quick, and then they get butthurt later on when they realize the girl actually wasn't the right woman. But if you had tested some things early on, if you would, try to test to see if she has patience, how understanding she is of certain things, if she's cool with you hanging out with the boys sometimes versus not, then you'd have better intel. But that's what you cannot assume she's going to be like that, just assuming that all women are great and a woman doesn't need to be tested because the woman that I'm dating is already the right pick. No, she's not. You do not know that. So don't think that it's bad if you have to occasionally not get back to her right away. It's actually a great way, A, to see if you have a woman that's patient, but also for her to be able to see that you're not as needy, as desperate as she's probably assessed other guys are based on that. So hopefully that causes hopefully that causes you to think about it differently. If it doesn't, and you still feel the same way, you are openly welcome to feel however you want about this. I'm just trying to give you a different perspective to think about it from. Okay, let's see it. Which goes to this comment, actually. Thank you for leaving this. This guy left a comment. He says, in reference to the thing I just talked about waiting between dates and being patient texting, he says, ever since I started texting less, women started to think of me more. I have a date tonight, and she reached out to confirm the date last night. She basically admitted to thinking about me. It literally feels like a cheat code. Yeah, this is the thing. I think that guys think that dating needs to be hard. Like, we need to be able to overanalyze and use our strong brains to figure out what women are thinking and doing this and that. And it's really just stupid simple if you just learn to study it. So to this guy, right? I tell you guys all the time not to reconfirm dates. I tell you guys on the phone call or on the texting stream when you're setting up the date, you set up all the details and then you say, okay, great. So just to reconfirm, our date is tomorrow at 7 p.m. at such and such a place. I say to them, if you hear from me, it means that something has gone horribly wrong or plans have changed, LOL. But other than that, I will see you at the place. That's when you reconfirm the date. It's on the actual call. You do not the next morning say, hey, I look forward to our date tonight. You don't hit her up an hour beforehand. Hey, I'm about to leave my house. Hope to see you soon. You don't do that because confident men know that they are worthy enough to have the woman remember the date. And also, you're going to treat her like she has a good memory because most women have a good memory, especially with guys that they have a high interest in. There's no way she's going to forget being asked out by a guy that she has high interest in because women don't come across a guy like you every day. So men thinking, I got to reconfirm has always been stupid to me. But again, at one point in time, I was the guy that would call or text to reconfirm. You know what happened? A lot of those dates got canceled. Ever since I stopped doing that, my closing rate of asking a woman on a date to get in the actual date is like 97%. All right. So, and this guy tells you, this guy's literally telling you exactly what I tell you guys all the time, that when you don't reconfirm for a date, you're going to find more often than not, the woman is going to reach out to you to ask if the date's still happening. Now, we know it's dumb because, of course, the date's happening. We want to get a hookup. We want to be around a hot woman. Why would we cancel the date? But because women are in the habit of canceling dates, they think that they got to reconfirm with you in order for the date to continue to happen. Weird how that projection works, right? But suffice to say, yeah. So when you don't confirm, you'll find that the women that are highly interested and want the date to go on, they'll send you some kind of message. Hey, so-and-so, I'm getting dressed now. Can't wait to see you tonight. Or, hey, just want to make sure the date's still happening. Or, hey, I'm getting my car now. Hope to see you soon. Like, they'll do that because they're thinking, this guy didn't even hit me up. Like, oh my God, is it still happening? Like, they become the ones that aren't confident all of a sudden, right? And it's better, so sad to say, of the two of you, she can get away with not being confident that this date's happening. You cannot. You need to be so confident that you don't need to hit her up because you already know what's happening. And that confidence will exude over to how she feels about you. Now, this is another one of those things that if you tell women this, they will deny it. They will say, no, I've already done plenty of videos about reconfirming dates and women are under there. No, I need a guy to reconfirm. If you don't, blah, blah, blah. And what I tell you guys all the time, women will say that stuff based on a hypothetical guy that they have no feelings for. But in their actual lives, if they were honest with you, they can remember that one guy that they had the hots for, that they set up a date with, and that he did not in fact, reconfirm. And it was probably some Chad or Tyrone that looked really, really good and have buff muscles and had all the sixes or whatever like that, that she didn't need him to reconfirm because she really wanted the date to happen to where she was the one calling him. Women can't admit that to you because they don't want to admit to you that there was a time where they were weak over a guy, because then you'll think, oh, she's weak over me. Oh my God, I can manipulate her. That's what they're thinking. So they're not going to ever admit to you that they don't need this to happen. They're going to tell you, no, you as a guy need to confirm, or else I think you're playing games. Guys, that's not how it works. But this is also why I tell you guys, you shouldn't be talking about this kind of stuff with women, because all they're going to tell you is lies. They're going to tell you stuff that sounds good in public to say, that doesn't actually work on them, especially with the guys that they truly have high interest in. You, that's the guy friend. They're going to say, oh yeah, you need to reconfirm with her. But I can assure you, she's been on dates with dudes that have not reconfirmed once, and she's done all the reconfirming, and they went through. And as you can see from the guy in the comment section, it's just like a cheat code. This is exactly what I talk about. So I'm glad you get that. Matter of fact, I'm going to screenshot that answer because I want to keep that for my records. Hold on a second here. Screenshots. Yes, I'm actually screenshotting this guy. I appreciate you leaving the intel here for people to see this, because they need to know unequivocally that not confirming dates actually works in their favor. And capture. All right. So hopefully that guy's comment and what I just said gives you a better understanding of why I always say do not reconfirm dates. All right. Let's see, moving on here. By the way, guys, if you want some more great intel like this, like I said, I now do live shows once a week here on YouTube. I'm going to be doing more live shows in my full program, the Introvert Dating Success Academy community. And that is where me, you, and a community of other guys can meet together to talk about various issues, and I can answer your questions more in depth. It's $47 a month. It looks like this. When you go to the website, when you opt into the program, this is what it looks like. We have the various programs here. So we have, this is just a small snippet of what you get. So the Top Secret Dating Blueprint, this walks you through everything from like how you first meet a woman, how you get her number and information, how you ask her out on a date, the kind of date to take her on, how to do conflict resolution, how you get into a relationship. That is all in just this video course right here, the Top Secret Dating Blueprint. Then we have Smart Digital Dating, which for those of you guys that are struggling with online dating, this is everything that I did during my online dating days to get dates and get into relationships. And it's worked time and time again for the guys that have gone through it. All right. We give you everything on like how to create a bio, how to talk with women, interact with them, how to actually get those first few dates. I give you like picture examples of what worked for me. You'll get to see my actual messages that I sent to women that helped me get them to go on dates with me in the first place, along with other examples of bios and profiles that work immensely well. We have the audio series, Stop Miscommunicating with Women, which gives you the ins and outs of how women actually communicate. So you'll get a better understanding of why they say the things they do, why they respond to things in certain ways, and you will no longer be confused by that and have a better understanding. We have the Interview with Dating Experts. It's like a collection of like 32 interviews that I did with a variety of dating experts on various aspects of the dating game. Like so many more things that are in this program, my ebooks on how to get your ex-girlfriend back, the things to not do during dating, texting like a boss, the complete archive of my original podcast, Stop Losing Women podcast, 435 episodes of rock solid information. Like, and on top of that, you also get the community whereby we get to meet up. You can leave, it's almost like a Facebook community. You can leave like posts and comments. You can ask questions and get them answered by me, as well as by other people that are in the community. So you can check all that out at introvertdatingsuccess.com. Read the front page. If you like it, it's only $47 a month, and you can cancel that at any time. You go join the program, you go through all the stuff. Hey, that was great. I want to cancel now. Fantastic. Or you can stay in and continue to politic with other people that are in the community as well. But check that out at the website. All right, moving on to some other things here. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so this guy, he actually asked me two questions on different videos. So I'll answer the first one first. So this guy left a message. He said, hey, brother, are you able to do a video about having feelings for two different women? I kind of feel sad about having to drop one of them, LOL. Well, here's the thing, guy. It's not a matter of you necessarily dropping one of them. It's more a matter of, it's good to be in the driver's seat. It's good when you are the person that has women coming to you, because if they're chasing you, they can't be replacing you. But you could be a guy that ends up dating like 2 or 3 different women, and they all have their feelings for you, all right? So a couple things are going to happen. One, either one or both of these women are going to come to you and be like, hey, so are you dating other people? Hey, so what are we? So what is this? Blah, 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 right? And so if only one of them comes to you and does that, and that's the one that you figure of the two of them you want to try something with, then you can do that. If they both come to you You have a few options. One is you could pick one and dump the other one. The other thing you could do is you could be honest and say, hey, look, real talk, I'm enjoying this interaction so far. Right now, I'm still in the process of dating other people, and I'm still trying to decide ultimately who I want to be with long term. So for right now, I'll keep this in mind. But, I don't want to lie to you and say that I'm not seeing other people. I don't want to lie and say like I'm completely decided yet. I'm still trying to make a decision. So if you're not cool with that, I completely understand. I have found more often than not, during the dating process, women they don't have to like it, but they're typically fine with that. Like they're typically fine with you're still trying to make a decision between these two, between other people. She just women like it when they know that other women want you. And also that puts them in competition. We're like, oh, so now I got to do more things to try to prove to this guy that he needs to pick me. And again, that's a great place to be. So if you're liking both women equally, then it really is a matter of like either A, you choose one that you already know you have more feelings for, or B, you decide to keep dating them until one of them proves to you more so why they should be your girlfriend over the other. There's no rush to this process. Like I tell you guys, it takes women 2 to 3 months on average to solidify their feelings, at which point they're typically ready for a relationship. That does not mean at the point that month comes that you have to fully decide on either of these women. I'm just telling you what their average timeline is. Now, if you need a bit longer to date these two women, or if you're just like, hey, real talk, I don't want to be tied down, I want to be able to date multiple women, again, that is your right to do that. Just be upfront with that if that is your agenda. Because, hey, a woman is trying to get married, she knows she's on borrowed time, right? And so if you're like saying, hey, I'm not ready to be super serious with you yet, then she may decide, you know what? Thank you for telling me. I don't want to be in that kind of situation, so I'm out. And she has that right because, again, if she's like, especially in her 20s, she needs to get married to get kids while she's still got a good womb down there. And so it's not fair at that point to try to drag her along. But if you tell her the honest truth and she agrees to stay, then that's on them, not on you. So then the other comment he left, this guy left a comment. He said, what if I ask for a date with a specific day and time? And she replies with, let me check my schedule. I didn't reply to that message, so do I just wait for her to get back to me? I have found more often than not that when a woman says, let me check my schedule, it's a no. There's been a couple of times where they got back and said, hey, so I've thought about this and that, right? But also, this is why when I'm asking women out, I'm trying to get all the intel then, whether it ends up being a rejection or not. So let's say this is me. I ask her out. She says, hey, let me check my schedule. Then I would say, okay, that sounds great. I know right now I'm free on Tuesday or Thursday. Let me know if either of those work for you. Like I'm going to take back the leadership role of, well, you say you're busy, but I have a schedule also. And so we're not going to just completely go with your time because I'm also a busy guy. So I'm going to put out there some days that work, and you tell me if any of those days work. More often than not, they'll be able to say, okay, either Tuesday or Thursday works, whatever. Or they'll say, well, neither of those work. I'll get back to you. At that point, that is showing me that is a woman that is not super serious about dating me. And as much as I don't like to hear that, I know I'm out. You save me time. I'm going to go elsewhere. Now, I don't have to say all that to her. I just say, okay, great. Well, let me know when you're available. And then I go on to find somebody else because I don't like the idea of women putting you on the waiting list or leaving you out open to like not know. I call that the land of maybe. I don't like the land of maybe. Women saying, let me check my schedule, that is a maybe date. And there are too many women out there that would just give you a day and time that works. Even busy women. Busy women, I know it's going to be shocked to hear this. Busy women typically know their schedule. Like a woman that's busy isn't trying to be late to appointments. So she has stuff in her Google Calendar, her phone calendar. I have a calendar and I'm not even all that busy, but I have a calendar on my kitchen wall. Some of you have seen it in previous videos. I write down everything I'm doing for the week and for the month in that calendar. I can look at my calendar now and say, I know tonight I'm going to be filming a thing, which is why I'm doing a podcast now. But that's my point. I like this show enough to where even if I'm busy at the time I normally do it, I say, that's no reason to not do a show. I'm going to find a time to do the show. And women are the same way. Oh, he wants to date at 8 o'clock, but I have a meeting at 8 o'clock, but I could do an early lunch, or I could see if I'm free the next day to schedule in for like a 5 o'clock dinner. Like women that like you, help you, and will do that. Women that don't will say things like, let me check my schedule. Well, I don't know. I got to see what else is going on, which is still not great because her being like, I got to see if I have other things going on is translation for, you're not nearly as important as other things. So I hope to God I'm doing something else so I can say no to you. That's not a person you want to date. So I would say, just leave it at like, okay, great. Well, let me know when you're free and then try to find somebody else. If she comes back and says, okay, I'm free such a day, great. Plan the date and then go. But more often than not, that's not what's going to happen. So hopefully it helps you out. Let's see here. And then lastly, I kind of wanted to do a whole show about this, but I'm not going to. But this guy left a comment that I think is a very important lesson for you guys in general to learn. It's one that I've done about the whole idea of like dating being like sales. So this guy left a comment. He said, I'm a mature 50 plus, former brokenhearted, educated lame who has made every stupid mistake a man can make in dating. My transformation was an act of generosity by a very successful escort manager. So he hired an escort to help him the ropes. Over a period of 8 to 9 months, doing exactly what I was taught, no matter how challenging or contrary to my twisted dating perspective, turned a fuzzy worm into a firebird. And that's the thing I try to stress to you guys. Like some of the stuff that I'm teaching you guys, when you first do it, it's gonna feel weird, unnatural, dishonest. And really those feelings come from you're not in the habit of doing it. And so it's not built into you to do those things. So it's gonna feel awkward. And at times it's gonna feel as though this isn't your real self. The way you are right now is based on years of you doing a bunch of different actions and saying a bunch of different things over and over again, right? And so the way you are now is very comfortable, and you're thinking you came to that and now this is your authentic self. No, who you are right now is based on years of you doing things that you decided over time gel well with your personality, which is why as adults, it gets a lot harder and harder to meet new people, to take up new activities, and to learn how to do things differently with women. Because once you get past 25, your brain's pretty much like, we're good. I got to learn nothing else anymore. I am fine as I am. And anything that pushes against that makes us feel like we're not ourselves, which makes us feel like we're lying. And so I want you to understand that is a normal part of the learning new things process. But I assure you, what feels weird to you now, as I'm teaching it to you, is going to be perfectly fine later on. Just like the guy earlier where he said, like, he said the thing about he started texting less and then women started to reach out to him more. Well, I'm pretty sure that when he started texting less, that didn't feel good. It didn't feel like the normal thing. It felt like I'm lying to women when I'm not texting him as much. But because he's gotten benefits from that, he now sees how that habit of not reaching out so much results in good things happening. And so as a guy, I stress to you, you're going to learn a lot of things from me, maybe from some other gurus that sound like they're crazy. I know people come here, well, you're saying wait 4 days after a date to text a girl. Oh my God, that's lying. That feels weird. But I've done it long enough to know it doesn't feel weird to me. And that when I do it, girls respond positively. But when I first started doing that, it felt like Doc Love saying, wait 9 to 5 days. Are you freaking insane? But I did it. I've literally had it where I've waited 8, 9, 10 days between dates to reach out to a woman. And the result was, cool, let's go out again. So it's going to feel weird. But that's what I tell you guys, when you learn the stuff, before you just completely dismiss it as like, that's not me or whatever like that, practice it a few times, even if you think it's going to be the most craziest thing. Because, hey, if what you're doing right now is not working, the worst thing that will happen when you try some of my stuff is you'll get the same results. And you'll be right back at square one, at which point you can go back to doing the old stuff that wasn't working because the new stuff you tried didn't work either. But if it works on any level, rather than being like, it works and, but women shouldn't fall for this, how dare they? Just think to yourself, it worked. It felt weird, but it worked. If I do it again, will it work again? And I assure you, as you get more successes with the things that I'm teaching you, you'll feel more happy about the fact that it worked more so than like, but it wasn't something you thought. I think the reason guys get hurt, honestly, is because if it's not their idea, they think that therefore it's dishonest. Guy, we're going to get ideas about how to do things from different places. It's perfectly fine if up to this point, you were not able to think of some of the concepts that I teach you guys. Because I didn't know this at one point either, But as I learned it and it worked, I was like, you know what? Let me not brush this off or be like, that's not me. Just learn it worked. So let this be a thing you do regularly till it feels like a natural part of who you are, So anyway, I say all that to say, this guy then said what I think is the most important part here, which he says, one of the most important lessons I was taught was something I was also taught in my corporate sales training, which is women buy into a relationship for their reasons, not yours. Now, I have compared dating to sales a lot on here because, true to form, Doc Love, one of the ways I got to understand dating better was when he said dating is like sales. Now, people, especially women, don't like to hear that because they like to think, well, no, because sales is so different from women. You're trying to sell people, which is manipulating, blah, 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 blah. All these things are parallel, right? So in terms of what he said, women buy into a relationship for their reasons, not yours. In the sales world, I could go out there with the world's best knives. I sold Cutco. I think to this day, they're still the best knives you will ever buy. They need to pay me a sponsorship for how much I talk about them, right? But me going into a home and saying, oh my God, these knives are the best knives ever, and I think they're great because X, Y, and Z, it's not going to sell somebody that doesn't cook. It's not going to sell somebody that doesn't chop anything. Like, the person that I'm trying to sell to needs to want to buy the knives because they see a need for it in their lives, not because I want them to have the knives, you know? And so, true to form, with women, you could want the woman you're across from all day long. You can be stressing her, but you're so pretty and beautiful, and I can see you in my life, and I think we have great children. I really, really want you. But the woman doesn't care. And I said this on here, and men get offended, like, oh, yeah, we shouldn't just have to date because of things that she wants. But the reality is, if you're trying to get a woman, she's not going to date you out of pity. She's not going to hook up with you out of pity. Some will, but most aren't. Most are going to be trying to figure out nice ways to get rid of you and ghost you. Because at the end of the day, women are going to date you for the reasons that they see fit. So you could think you want her in your life because you could see her gelling with your family, but does she like your family? Does she like how you talk to her? Does she like the way that you make her feel when you're on dates? Does she look at you? If she's looking for somebody that's going to be a masculine guy that displays leadership qualities, are you showing up as that guy? Because if you're showing up as the docile, nice guy who's going to put her on a pedestal, and she doesn't want that, you could try to persuade her all day as to why you're such a great guy and all the exploits about you. She don't care. She don't care about you. She cares about, does she, are the things that you're showing her make her feel like you're the kind of guy for her? And so we as guys do a disservice to ourselves and to women when we're sitting there. I've been on dates with women across the table from me that I knew didn't like me. And yet I'm going to be on this date and try to make her see why by the end of this date, she needs to like me and want to date me. Never happened. Because if she started off not wanting to be there, all me talking about how great I'm going to do is be like, okay, he's so full of himself, but it's not going to persuade her now to want me. She has to feel a thing for me and see the greatness in me that is going to work for her to want that to happen. This is why I'm not a big proponent of, like, you know, the whole, like, you chase a woman, you know, women are like, oh, I want to be chased. Like, you chase a woman down and trying to, like, you know, do things for her, all this stuff. Why? Because women that have high interest in you are already going to be on your plan. You know, women that have high interest are going to want to show up at the right time. They're not going to need you to reconfirm a date. They're not going to need you to give X, Y, and Z reason as to why you're such a great guy. They're not going to need to be persuaded into the bedroom. Like, women that have high interest will just like you and want to do those things already. But also, you can also force a woman that has high interest in you to lose interest when you start trying to pile on stuff. You're trying to overcompliment. You're trying to overdo and overextend and all this other stuff, to whereby now you're giving the hard sale. And much like in sales, women don't like the hard sale. They want to think they're coming to see you and just they're having a natural build rapport. It's like I said at the beginning of this live, where I went to the family reunion and I met my brand new relatives for the first time, like a lot of them, like the younger nephews and stuff like that I hadn't met before. And like, I'm not trying to go over there, hey, I'm Uncle so-and-so, nice to meet you, blah, blah. I do. I go over there, hey, what you up to? Oh, Minecraft, what's that about? Oh, you know about this thing about Minecraft? And also blah, 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 blah. Okay, boom, I walk off. And out of there's like, this adult came over and like asked me about Minecraft and like was really like kind of a cool guy. And he just went away. Like, I want to hang time with him. I didn't have to sell them. I just became interested in what they were interested in. I show a little bit of personality, and then I let them decide if they wanted more interaction with me. Whereas other relatives at the family reunion were trying so hard. Hey, so-and-so, oh, come hug me, come kiss me. And they're like, oh, stay away. One of my cousins was a woman, and there was a younger cousin of mine who was not trying to touch anybody, didn't want anybody to pick him up other than his mama and his closer aunts, right? And so, again, this cousin of mine's new stimuli to this younger cousin, she's all like, I'm trying to kiss you, I'm trying to hug you, and he keeps running away. I walked over and like, hey, dude, what's up? High five. Boom, walked away. And now he's trying to run up to me, hey, pick me up, hey, hug me, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have to do a hard sell because I just knew if I just try to show, hey, I'm around, you seem like a cool dude, whatever, and then walk off, I let them decide. This is a very important lesson, guys. Ultimately, in sales, you just show enough for the other prospect to feel as though they're making the decision to choose you and that they're the ones that are making the decision. Even though you're going to be doing things that make it easier for them to choose you, but you're not trying to do such a hard sell because, again, we're trying to figure out on that first date, for example, like what she's into and what she's about and what she's looking for, but we're not trying to act like we need this intel so we can be that guy. No, you're finding out just trying to get a general idea about what she's wanting, but that doesn't mean you have to turn to that guy or suddenly be, the complete opposite of who you are, And so, yeah, as this guy learned, if you let women come to you at their own pace and start thinking of reasons and ways that they like you and setting things up to where they want to reach out to you more, to where they're basically selling themselves on you, dating becomes a whole lot easier. Now, if you need help with that stuff, you can always go and join the Introvert Dating Success Academy community, which I've talked about extensively. But needs to say, in addition to getting all this wonderful knowledge, you will get to have more access to me. We have regular lives. We have chats and discussions with other men in that group that will help you to have more behaviors that are going to be helpful in the dating realm as it pertains to you getting women. So you can join that at the thing, all right? So with that said, we do have one more question in the chat here. Oh, from somebody named Mystery. I love it. So I got a question in the chat, and this guy asked, he says, hey, coach, a girl I've been talking to for a while who's pretty interested has left me on red out of nowhere, and I decided to go no contact until she initiates. It's been 3 weeks. Was this a bad decision? Well, I would need more knowledge about if again, this is where the idea of introspection comes in, because like I said, I've experienced more often than not, women aren't typically just going away for no reason. Now, it could be, hey, it was between you and another guy, and that other guy she just gelled with better, and so she chose him, and doesn't know how to come to you and say, oh, I chose somebody else, my bad, like, sorry, you were great, but it's another person. You know, women typically aren't going to do that. I applaud the ones that do, because I know it's been a hard journey for them to be able to do that, knowing that guys are going to like fly off the handle and whatnot. But suffice to say, like, if you were just talking to her, I'm assuming you're not saying if you went on a date with her. So if you were just talking to her and at no point did you ask for a date, then that's part of the problem, you know, because women are only going to wait so long. Now, if you did ask her for a date and then she just went ghost, then she wasn't highly interested. I'm more interested in, did you actually get a date before she ghosted you? If you did and the date went bad, then it is what it is. If you guys were just talking and you at no point in time asked her on a date, then that's a problem, because women aren't trying to just talk to you to not go anywhere. You need to, at some point. I don't typically message that long before I'm like, hey, we should meet up in person to continue the conversation. But suffice to say, if you haven't done that, then that could be part of the issue, you know? Ultimately, I don't like that it's been 3 weeks and she has not tried to initiate or reach out. That's not usually a telltale sign that she has high interest. Like, again, women that have high interest are going to try to reach out quite consistently, actually. If she's not doing that, then I would say that that's not the best scenario. But again, I would need a bit more intel about your situation. I also offer one-on-one coaching at the website. So you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the coaching tab, and set up a one-on-one consultation if you want more clarity about your particular situation. Okay. And then we have a question from somebody saying, should we continue to talk to a girl who responds 2 to 5 days late after we initiate the conversation? I decided not to, but I trust your expertise. Well, this goes back to, why are we texting women? I don't text women to build rapport, with the exception of, if I meet a woman on a dating app, then I would do a little bit of banter before I ask her on a date. But when I'm initiating text to get a date. And then what I find happens is, in between dates, when I'm not initiating text, women that are starting to build a higher interest, they will reach out to me. So my thing is, I do texting at a 3-to-1 ratio. For every 3 times that she initiates a text, I will initiate a text. And what I mean by that is this. Let's say it's Tuesday morning, right? She can initiate a text to me first, and then I'll respond back. I'll send her a text. She'll send me a text back. I'll respond back to another text. She'll send me a text. I'll probably try to ask for a date, right? But if that doesn't happen that day, the next day, if she wants to talk to me, she will initiate a text. It won't be until like that 3rd day where I'll be like, I should just initiate a text. Hey, what's going on? But again, even when I'm initiating text, the end goal is to ask for a date. So in terms of your question, should you continue to talk to a girl who responds 2 to 5 days late after you initiate a conversation? You should not be initiating conversations. You should only be initiating text to ask for dates. If you just stick to that, you will find there will be no need to ever initiate a rapport conversation, because outside of dates, you're only waiting to text her when you're going to ask her for that next date. And if she wants conversation, she will be the one to initiate it. You can learn extensively more about that in my book, Texting Like a Boss, which I have at my website, but also is part of the Introvert Dating Success Academy community, where you get all my ebooks and access to them as part of the program. You know, he says, my bad, I initiated the text online. Again, if you're initiating text online with a woman, like in a dating app of some kind, if you guys match up, yes, you're going to be the one to initiate a text to her to start the conversation going. But again, you're not trying to have a long conversation. You're initiating a text, she responds back, you ask a couple of questions, she responds back, maybe she asks a couple of questions, and then boom, you try to get her on a date. And again, I go over that process even more so in my Smart Digital Dating program, which is part of the Introvert Dating Success Academy community. So when you join that, you get to see all the things, in addition to setting up your bio and stuff, goes extensively into how to initiate a conversation, the kinds of conversations to have, and then how to actually ask them on a date and the kind of date to take them on. That's part of that community, all right? But suffice to say, yeah, initiating text online, that's great. But ideally, if you're initiating text with somebody that matched with you, not just somebody you just reached out of nowhere, and then from there, you don't have to have a whole lot of conversation to get a date, but you want to get enough intel to see if, based on your conversation, if it's worth doing an in-person date. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, guys, I think that is all I have for today. Let me see if I have any other notes from this week I want to go over. Somebody left a comment that said, great video, but it will always be in your best interest to be strong, rich, and smart as a man. I will say this, that is emphatically true in terms of it'll give you a leg up. It'll definitely help you stand out amongst the pack. But do not think that being strong, being rich, or being smart is the only way that women will like you, because there are so many examples out there of that not being true. There are rich guys that get divorced and or aren't good with women. There are guys out there that are overweight or overly skinny that still get women. And there are guys that are way dumber than the women that they're dating. And the women that they're dating will not only date them, but pay for their lifestyle. But this speaks to, it really boils down to, do you have the kind of personality that women are going to gel with on a large scale? And you ain't got to be the smartest person in the room. You ain't got to be the richest. You ain't got to be the strongest. But you do have to know how to exude the kind of masculinity that women are going to like. And while these things will definitely give you a leg up. Like if you have all these things and you also know how to be a masculine guy and know how to show up and know how to have the right kind of conversations with women, then yeah, you're going to do really, really great. But there are plenty of guys that have these traits and unfortunately can still not get women because there are other things that are involved in you being a guy that women are going to want. And you can learn about a lot of those things in the Introvert Dating Success Academy community. So I highly recommend you go to the website and check out the front page to see what it has to offer. It's $47 a month. If you think I'm full of crap after a month, you can cancel it at any time. But I promise you, there is so much stuff in there. Any question you have about dating ever is probably somewhere in that program, in addition to the personalized coaching that you'll get from me on a weekly basis. All right. But anyway, so moving on, we have a question in the chat. It says, dear coach, is it bad to be too inconsistent? I usually message a girl once every week or two. Is that bad? Well, these are two different questions you're asking, because the second one, I usually message a girl once every week or two. Is that bad? What I tell you guys? I typically go on a date with a girl, show her a good time. I wait a minimum of 4 days, but it can be like 4, 5, or 6 days before I reach out again. So on average, I'm reaching out to a woman. I'm initiating a text to a woman once a week in order to ask for a date. And I found that works wonders for me and it's worked great, right? But in terms to your first question, is it bad to be too inconsistent? The answer I found is yes, because here's the thing. Women are going to build trust with you the more consistent you are. But I think you may be confusing being consistent with having to be there all the time. Because here's how I find things work for me, right? If I'm consistently only initiating text to ask for dates, then that is what the woman comes to expect from me, to where I don't get in trouble if I'm not texting her all the time, because she expects, okay, I get it. He's only going to reach out to me to ask for a date. So I need to reach out to him if I want to hear from him more. And I find that women with high interest will do that. If I'm consistently asking her out once a week and taking her out once a week, and if we have hookups, I'm consistently giving good hookups, and I'm consistently being a good listener and consistently making her laugh. Like all those things over time will cause her to build trust. Now, the mistake a lot of guys make, especially as it pertains to texting, is they'll do this. They'll be texting a lot in the beginning, and then they start to notice that the girl will be slowing down, and then they'll see one of my videos where I'm like, hey, you shouldn't text as much. And they'll go from like doing all the texting to doing like once a week texting. Well, even though that's ideally great, it makes women suspicious, because now, even though she doesn't want you texting all the time, you're going from texting a lot to texting like once or twice a week is now inconsistent. And that feels like you're now not being the guy that she first met. And that's almost a worse crime than going from like all the texting and no texting. So this is why I tell you guys, one, you should just know from jump to limit your texting to not do it as much, because then that's what women are going to expect from you. But also, if you make the mistake in the beginning of texting a whole lot, and you see my video where I'm like, don't text as much, then wean her off the texting. Like if you were texting, for example, 10 times a day, right? Don't go from 10 times a day to 1 time a day. Go from like 10 times a day initiating to like 5 times a day. And then the next day, go to like 4 times. And the next time, like 2 times. And like wean her off of the expectation, and then she won't notice the sudden like change in what you're doing, you know? And because, yeah, that will be a thing that's suspicious to women, you know? If you're trying to ask her out every day, and all of a sudden you only ask her out once a week, that's going to be suspicious. But it's also, you got to get to, this is why it's good to like know what behaviors women like in the first place. So if at the beginning, you're only asking out women once a week, that's the expectation. It's not going to be weird if you just keep doing that. And that's going to allow her to build trust more than you're asking her out every single day and you decide, okay, I'm going to switch it up. I'm only asking her out once a week. That's going to be a thing that it's good to get down to that level, but doing it so suddenly is going to make women see like, I can't trust how he is, because he goes from like texting me all the time to like, now he's not, like that's weird. So just something to consider. But yeah, you want to be more consistent than not in the beginning, because it'll build trust with women a lot faster. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, guys, I think that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. I got to go start to get ready for this thing that I'm helping film tonight. And so I'm going to do that. But in the meantime, guys, you can check out any of my shows on YouTube at youtube.com/SherryWilmington. You can also like this video, subscribe to this channel. And if you want more extensive knowledge, if you want more ways to learn how to linearly think about online dating, think about, in-person dating, knowing better about the ins and outs of how sex works and how women find attraction, I definitely recommend you go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and check out the front page so you can learn more about my Introvert Dating Success Academy community. All right. Want you to join, want you to get the knowledge you need, want you to be around like-minded men that can also help you succeed in the dating world. And I want you to get the knowledge that you need in order to finally land the women of your dreams. All right. So check that out at the website. Thanks for checking in this episode. I'll be back next Tuesday, same bat time. Well, probably different time, probably 5 o'clock again, but definitely tune in for me there. Also, guys, subscribe to my email list because you'll get notified of when these lives are happening in case they end up being sporadic. All right. I'm Harry Wilmington. I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class.